You're watching the Green Machine live, and we're coming at you live. David Dunn here, joined by Nick Menzies and Martin, and we're live. I don't know why I'm saying live in such a way, but here we are. We're doing a window review. I've literally just got back from Dublin. Martin got back hours ago, paid for a hotel room. I don't know why you paid for a hotel room, but here we are, lads. We're live. We're going to talk about the window. 2 games, 2 losses, disaster. Stephen Kenny, is he in? Is he out? Should he be in? Should he be out? Going to cover all of that. Tell us what you guys think at home. As always, we are Irish football's most interactive podcast. I want to hear from you. Tell me what you think. What you think about Kenny? What you think about the match last night? What you think the FBI should do? Who would you want as next Ireland manager if you don't want Stephen Kenny in? All these questions. Get involved. Have your say. Now, the most important question we're going to start with is, have I washed this shirt since Paris? And the answer is yes. I literally got home Friday, lads, and just collapsed into bed, put a wash on, collapsed into bed, and then passed out from that.
You're not going to fucking start talking about you being ill again, are you? Didn't we hear that all last night? Geez, you're making Irish fans sick with your sickness. Stop moaning.
Let me tell you, it's not 9 o'clock yet, so mind the language, right? Apologies, Mrs. Prendergast. Wasn't me this time. So, lads, how are we? How are we doing after all of that? I've been reading the old papers. Eamon Dunphy's article was a little bit on the delusional side of things. Read a bit about that from Dan McDonald, read a few other things. Martin O'Neill's obviously come in and he's had his say about it this morning on TalkSport on White and Jordan. So lots to talk about here, lads, for the next one. And of course, remember, for those of you guys watching at home, have your say. Leave a comment, get involved. We're going to be a little bit unstructured on this one because, as I said, we've literally just got in the door from Dublin. And, yeah. Right. How are we?
Flat.
Flatter than flat?
Flatter than flat. And as I said off air, I'm lactose intolerant and I've just had a hot chocolate. So, I wasn't meant to say that, lads.
Smelling like shite. Because he talks
talking shite as per usual. APU. But no, look, lads. I expected a draw against the Dutch. I didn't expect anything from the French. But again, it's the manner in which things are. It's the tone of Stephen Kenny's pathetic post-match interview, his weak press conference. I love the guy. We've met him, lads, and you know yourself, lads. I had a lovely moment with him. I know that sounds a bit wrong, but I really thought this guy is a special moment with him. But I was like, this guy's a decent fella. He knows his stuff. But look, we'll get into it, I suppose. But it's not the fact that we lost to France. It's not the fact that we lost to the Netherlands. It's consistency of mediocrity. It's so many shortcomings, so many mistakes that haven't been addressed. Rewarding mediocre players, not even mediocre players, but rewarding mediocre performances with more starts. It's just we've plateaued horribly. And then we've regressed. And in sport, whether the person is nice or not, whether you see a project or whatever it is, in professional sport and professional football, one of the most ruthless sports in the world, you have to freshen up things now and again. And sadly for Stephen Kenny, it is time to freshen things up. I think he's going to get the rest of the campaign, but as I said, we'll get into it. But yeah, I'm feeling flat at the moment, sadly.
What about you, Martin, Mr. What did you call yourself? Matt Doherty's barber.
Yeah,
Jesus, needs shooting. You feel flat?
Yeah, it does feel very much towards the end of it, really, for Stephen Kenny. But I can see why the FAI will keep him on for a number of factors as well, which I'm sure we'll go into. But, you know, I think lovely guy. We can't knock him for that. It's what we all wanted to see happen, a change of kind of football philosophy in this country and working towards that. I do feel he's very, very unlucky, but I think you have to make your own luck as well. Wanted it to work out for him. I think the media stuff, I've never really been too bothered by that because I've met him a few times. I could see that I think he does get his message across to the players. I think, for example, he would have sent them out yesterday and said, set the tone. Like, you know, we're going to go out and just press them high. I think ultimately, and that did achieve that. I mean, the atmosphere was brilliant yesterday. I thought, God, the fans are really like behind this team. We're really going to get a result here. I could really sense it. And it was fantastic for the first half, apart from the mistake, obviously, for the giving away the penalty. And that just comes down to sloppiness as well within the team. And that just shows you the level of the players as well. But I think then he's just where it's gone wrong for him, and where I think the time has perhaps the FAI are going to see it that it's gone, is his in-game management's not good enough. He's not making changes quick enough. You see the Dutch under a lot of pressure from us yesterday, and it's regretful looking back. I know we can all say if we had different players available, but I said it before we got on the show. We had Mikey Johnson available; he would have tore them apart with his pace. I think. I just think he's not changing things. The Dutch changed things and they managed the game. When we were coming at them physical, I mean, that rattler of a challenge that James McLean put in, and there was two of their lads on the deck, and they just stifled the game then. They just got up off the feet, slowed everything down, kind of
They were clever.
They weathered the storm that Ireland threw at them.
They were clever.
And then the manager changed it at half time, and we never adapted to that. And all you can see I kind of do watch the subs warming up. I watch the bench. I'm quite fascinated by that. And you could just see Keith Andrews.
Lad stretching in shorts, Martin, yeah?
That's it, exactly. Well, not like, it was, wasn't it? Was that which game was that, Nick? Well, myself and it was the Portugal game, wasn't it? You were admiring calves and everything, weren't you?
Well, I was admiring Cristiano Ronaldo, and you were admiring Colin Mouda's hamstring.
That's right. Yeah.
Hamstring. Didn't he have a scar on his hamstring? And he was in a very
this pod is taking a very
well, he was in a very uncompromised position, and Martin couldn't take his eyes off. I think there was a sneaky photo.
I couldn't get a camera out of my pocket.
Yeah, I bet you couldn't. Wasn't enough room down there, was there? It was a sort of
something else he couldn't get out of the pocket.
No, look. But no, I mean, but I was watching them. I was watching the bench activity, and you can see, O'Shea quite involved with things, Keith Andrews, and you can see the frustration of Stephen Kenny as well, even late on in the game. I just think he's not made. That's where I think I've been disappointed in the tenure of Stephen Kenny. He's not learned from his mistakes. We've said that on the podcast before. He's been, he's had to kind of go back to players that we thought we'd never see play for Ireland again, in a sense, like Enda Stevens and Shane Duffy. And he's had to really count on them in key games, this camp especially. And just the quality's not there, sadly. The Jamie McGrath thing last night was a total mystery to me. It is when he gets in the squad. I'd rather see a younger lad come in there and be given an opportunity. I can't see it working out for him with Ireland. And just the quality. I mean, everyone's argument would be we came up against the best team in the world in France, and yes, we did.
Yeah, but
the Dutch as well. They were there for the taking. No, we could have gone at them, and they were really rattled.
This isn't about France, though.
No.
And let's make that clear. Like, it's not about France.
Everyone's making out as though it is. Like,
this is about being 2-0 up against Azerbaijan in Dublin.
Yeah. And Latvia.
And then Latvia after that. And then the poor performance.
The Greece one was the one. The Greece one is the one that anyone you speak to last night, we would have still, if we'd have got a result in Greece, we would have been still in probably contention here for third place, which was optimistic to get that position. But it was between us and Greece. If you look back, that's what we all thought we were going to get. And we might nick a result against France, and we might nick a result against Holland, and bring it to that last game against the Dutch, where it might be all to play for second place. That's what we wanted to be in that position.
But I think Greece was awful.
Greece was awful.
Greece was where we could see the measure of ourselves, whether we progress or not. And this whole thing, like, the team is limited. Lads, when we were playing under Giovanni Trapattoni, when we had Robbie Keane, Damien Duff, Shay Given, Richard Dunn, people were saying we didn't have the players. The whole, I suppose, goal of an international manager managing a side at our level. Now, keep in mind, lads, we have Premier League players. The likes of Northern Ireland only have a couple. They're really struggling. Some other, countries around our level wouldn't have full squads of top flight players. But the goal of an international manager at our level has to be maximizing your player pool and getting the best out of limited resources. And Stephen Kenny has changed the style of play. Is it anything revolutionary? No. Has he gotten the best out of the players? There's very few players I can think of that he's maximized their potential.
And I think as well, like with Stephen Kenny, people saying, he doesn't have the players or whatever. No, I think that's a redundant argument. It's international football, it's not club management. So every squad is in the same situation. They have the players for 2 days, for a couple of days training per window, because obviously, there's rest days and match days and all this sort of thing. The problem with Stephen Kenny is that he went in, he promised his 4-3-3. And then he changed it and he went to 5 at the back, and it kind of worked a little bit, and he tweaked a few things here and there. He promised to sort of move on players. So, like, not picking on him, like Hendrick, Duffy, all these guys, these kind of old school Irish players have been around for a very long time, kind of stagnated around the Irish team. But he's sort of gone back on himself in certain ways. Like he's a bit of a contradiction, and I'll explain. Is that he's brought Duffy in last night and made him captain. He hasn't been in the squad for a year, and you think, why is he in? Why is he in the squad? You want to play? You want to play ball. You want to play out from the back. So why isn't Andrew Amabombadeli, who's going to be around for the next 10 years? Arguably, he's worth £20 million. He's going to be playing in the Premier League. Give the lad a chance. Doesn't get a look in. Now, we understand the first time round, there was he wasn't in the squad initially. I'm not sure why that was. I think it's because Duffy was keeping him out, and then he wasn't included in the France squad because there was a bereavement. But that wasn't anything to do with not being selected in the first place. But then why not play him against Holland? He plays Duffy. Duffy's placed the two lads on for the 2 goals. And then he's got players like that. Is he doing that to keep the senior players on side? He look what he did with James McLean. Like he handpicked it. So he would have a nice day out, family day out against Gibraltar to have his 100 cap. Like this is a contradiction.
Now, to be fair, he'd an excellent game that day. But I think on that day, it's hypocritical in a way, because Stephen Kenny is saying, well, I want to change the style of play, and I want us playing this passing style of play. Darragh O'Shea is playing every week in the Premier League under Vincent Kompany, who himself was a centre-half and an excellent centre-half. Playing in the Premier League every week. Shane Duffy, he's had a good start in the Championship, but he's not the same type of player as Darragh O'Shea. Darragh O'Shea could essentially play in midfield, as could Nathan Collins, and John Egan is fantastic on the ball as well. So he's being hypocritical and going against his philosophy. I think in a way he was planning to play against Weghorst, but that didn't work out, did it? Duffy versus Weghorst. But I think that's what it was. I think.
But here's the problem, though.
But it was hypocritical.
But here's what I'm talking about. Where he can't see the woods from the trees. Is that 20 minutes to go? He knows that unless we get a win, his job is probably gone. Might not be straight away, and we'll get into that later on. Just because it's sheer optics, because the FAI don't want to lose 2 managers in a week or 2 weeks. So for sheer optics, he might still be in a job. 20 minutes to go. You have a dodgy goalkeeper, Flecken. As I said last night, should be called Flappin. He was dreadful. Now, a savvy manager would say, right, lads, he's fucking dodgy. And we're not
pepper the box.
Get people in there, bully him, pump it fucking long, get it in there. My job's on the line. And he wouldn't. He was sticking to his principles. So on one hand, he sticks to his principles no matter what, even when it might cost him his job. On the other hand, he's going against his principles, which probably will cost him his job. Look at Azerbaijan, 2-0 up at home. Who comes on, gives the ball away? Harahan. What's he doing in the squad? Hendricks, same again, stands there catching flies. We were cruising with the young lads. He's just gone back on himself. And it drives me, man, because I really wanted this lad to succeed. I really wanted Stephen Kenny to succeed, because he is a decent man. He's a nice fella. And I think it was very important for Irish football for this man to succeed, because now we don't know what's going to happen. Are the FAI going to go with Big Sam? Are they going to panic? Are they going to go? I've heard Roy Keane be mentioned about, and now some of his mates in the media are starting to kind of, maybe Roy Keane is, Kieran Kenny Cunningham was saying today off the ball. Roy's changed a bit. Like, is this what we're going to do now? Because he might get you a sponsor, and he probably would get you a sponsor.
Yeah, I made that point. I made that point today. And we'll come on and talk about the managers, of course.
He's a terrible coach. He can't coach.
Yeah, but
he's a terrible manager. And now, but sorry, I'll finish up on the Kenny thing. And now, I really wanted this to happen for Stephen Kenny. And now they're all coming after him. 3 years, people coming out. Like, I've got absolute dog's abuse on Lansdowne Road earlier on because I was giving out about Martin Neal. We'll talk about that later. And then they're like, people like you, you deserve all of this. Because, people wanted this man out of the job before a fucking ball was kicked in anger. And I thought that was pathetic. I thought that was hysterical. And I thought it was a fucking nonsense at the time. Now, it hasn't worked 3 years later. It hasn't worked. We've given him the fullness of time and said, right, look, it hasn't worked. We need something else here. But I thought the way some people went on because he was a League of Ireland fucking manager. And went, nah, snobbery. He's not a sexy foreign manager. And that drives me mad. And
he's foreign to Martin.
He's what?
He's foreign to Martin.
He's foreign to me.
Oh, yeah. No, sorry. I'm in mid rant. My ears actually haven't properly popped from the.
I don't know if he's sexy to Martin now, but he's definitely.
But you know what I mean. Like, if this had worked, it would have been so beneficial for Irish football. But it hasn't, and that is down to. By the way, not make excuses for the manager. Not make excuses for the manager at all. He made a lot of mistakes. He's had rotten luck. COVID, obviously, everyone had the same situation. He had stuff going on there. He lost coaches. That's not his fault. The way he lost his coaches, that's not his fault. That happened. Anthony Barry got a deal to go to the number 1 team and go to a World Cup. That's not what can Stephen Kenny do with that? But stuff. November, we talked about it. He made a balls of that. Did damage there. He's selected the wrong players. He has hung on to the wrong players. He's been too loyal to the wrong players, and he hasn't stuck to his guns, and that in the end has cost him. And I think it's terrible. I think it's sad, but at the end of the day, there's only so far you can go with it. Yeah, there's a time you have to go, right, okay. It's done now. And I don't know, lads, if you saw it, but that interview with Tony O'Donoghue, that was
pathetic,
fucking difficult to watch.
And I feel for him, but look, he's an international football manager. He's on a serious amount of money. He has to be able to conduct himself a bit better. Even if I would have preferred he actually lost the head with Tony O'Donoghue than blabbering the way he was. But the thing with it, lads, is I don't know how he survived, because that record, if a higher profile manager had that record, they would have been gone ages ago. And my problem and my worry, lads, is that there's a serious rush. We're plummeting. International football can turn very, very quickly. It could be a thing. Like I said it last week, lads, didn't I? I said we could get a result against the Dutch. We could get a 1-1 draw. We could have a fantastic performance, and then we could win the last 3 games. We mightn't qualify, but then we have momentum. So international football can turn very quickly. But the issue is when it's turned. So, for example, we got the result against Scotland. It went back straight away. There's no consistency. And at the moment, lads, I think any other manager would have been relieved by now, would have been relieved of their duties by now. With Kenny, it's a rush, it's a downward spiral. As I mentioned, anytime it looks like things have turned around, because we're very melodramatic, lads, as Irish fans. We always say, well, we're fucked, we haven't got the players, we're goose, we're never going to qualify for anything again. And then we get a result, a little bit like Euro 2016, or under Martin O'Neill, who we're going to talk about. Things were a disaster, we were out of contention, and then all of a sudden, we started getting results, we beat Germany, qualify. The difference here, lads, is when the pendulum switches, when it swings, we're back to square one within a couple of months. So the rot has to be stopped. And 3 years, lads, I really don't know how he's gotten away with it for so long. That Scotland game bought him over a year now, but the FAI have to recognize that it's a results game. We've lost out on 2 championships. We've lost out in the World Cup almost immediately. We've lost out in the European Championships almost immediately. And I think you're right. The rot really has to stop. The rot really has to stop.
He's been unlucky, but he's also been ironically, he's been lucky in the sense that I don't think they're relieving him because of the manager situation with the women's team at the same time.
The optics,
World Cup, and also there's no other obvious candidate I don't think that is out there at the moment. A question for you both, though. Right, well, so we're saying we think we do have the players. Like, there is some incredible talent coming through. I mean, look, Alan Shearer's talking today in The Athletic about that he thinks Evan Ferguson could be an absolute superstar, world-class player. Who wouldn't want to manage him ultimately? And do you think if we had a better manager, do you think it's an attractive job managing Ireland? That's my question to both of you.
I think it is at the moment. But again, lads, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, it's about getting a manager in who can, I suppose, what's the word I'm looking for? Get a play, get the most out of a player, get a player to play, maximize player, get them to play beyond their means. I spoke the other day, Dave, about Giovanni Trapattoni getting the most out of Sean St. Ledger. Like, Sean St. Ledger wouldn't get in the Ireland squad now with all those centre halves, but Trapattoni had him playing fantastically well, playing way out of his skin. So you need a manager who's going to get a player who's playing with Hull to play like a player who's playing for
it's called coaching.
AC Milan or something.
It's called coaching.
Why AC Milan there. It is, but it's man management, and with Kenny, he has he has been very preoccupied playing a passing game. Now, a passing game that has no end product in the final third, but that's been his kind of crux, where in the past, and we've given out about it, lads, and I was one of the first to give out about it, Trapattoni went for a functional system, but at the same time, he was getting very limited players. He had some excellent players, by the way. He had some excellent players.
Yeah, his first campaign, it's not his first campaign. He had a very good squad.
He had decent players, but he was getting limited players to play well beyond their means. The same with Mick McCarthy. Mick McCarthy had it. Now, look, he fucking Roy Keane, But he also had a team stacked with Division 1 players, Championship players. Martin O'Neill, look, things went rogue with Martin O'Neill towards the end, but in amongst Martin O'Neill's tenure, he got the best out of players like Richard Keogh, for example. You know, he got the best out of. I know his goal scoring record wasn't great, but his overall, but Dave, no, not McGoldrick, but even Daryl Murphy, he served a function under O'Neill. Poor goal scoring record, but again was very important in the Euros. So it's about if the argument is going to be we have a limited squad, we have limited players, we've a better squad now, I think, than in 2019 with Mick. Mick had a very old squad. He had Richard Keogh, he'd Glenn Whelan, he Conor Horan, he had Dave McGoldrick, all his key players. James McLean and Robbie Brady were the fucking wingers. He'd Stephen Ward as well as. Oh no, he didn't. Sorry, he'd ended Stevens as a left back. Never mind. But what I'm saying, lads, as I said, is the whole. If the argument is we don't have the players, we have a limited squad, then you need to ask the question: can Stephen Kenny get the most out of that limited squad? And has he done that so far? Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely
he hasn't.
Not. They're playing more attractive football, but it's also attractive football without purpose.
But I don't think they are playing more attractive football.
It's more attractive than what Martin O'Neill was playing. But even Dave, to be fair,
wouldn't take much though, would it?
No. But to be fair, under Mick McCarthy, I think we were averaging a shot per game. And to be fair to Kenny, he's up those stats. But the problem is in midfield we don't have very much control. In the final third we don't have much end product. But we are creating more chances, Dave. There's no question about that. We are creating more chances than we did against O'Neill or McCarthy.
We didn't do that last night, did we? We didn't do it against Greece, and we didn't do it against France. We didn't do it against France. We haven't done it really this year at all. When you're playing well and you play the style of football and it's working for you, it's great. I.e. 2022, when we actually started to hit rhythm and hit foot, like it looked like the penny finally dropped at the end of the World Cup campaign. All right, bit shit against Azerbaijan away. Ukraine at home was worse. Penny dropped all of a sudden. Yeah, we're battering teams. We're scoring goals. Fantastic. But when you're not playing well and you're playing a style of football, you're soft as shite. And that's what we've been. We were soft against Greece. We were soft against Latvia, who, let's be honest, are rubbish. And we conceded, 2 goals against them. Gibraltar, we only got the first goal because the goalkeeper made a howler, and I think it was Ferguson Ida jumped on it, and just slotted it home. So yeah, in the past 2 years he had, in the first 2 years, but last year he hasn't because the arse has fallen out of it. And last night, it's not. What did you just pass around the back four? Holland sit back. Their best joy last night was when they pressed the back four. That's what I've been calling for on this. You can go back through the archives, which is available on greenmachinepodcast.com. Just thought I'd get that in there. For more aggression. And they haven't done that. You can't play a passing style.
I think they did have aggression. I think they had aggression last night at the start of it, and they pressed really well, but they just run out of steam. And that was our only kind of tactic, though. That's what I'm saying. When the Dutch started breaking the press or managed the game and relieved themselves of that pressure, then you saw them tactically adapt, change things, and we didn't have an answer to it. That's the problem I think we had. I think the stats last night: 2 shots on target. One of them was the penalty. So we didn't create anything against France. We had the header that. Collins had saved amazingly, and that would have been a different narrative. That would have been one of our great nights. We'd have been happy. We drew with the world champions or whatever, or runners up. That's the kind of how. Kenny will argue how close we have, but like Didier Mann said it last night, didn't he? How we find a way to lose. We find a way to lose. Like we've got to get them results. How come Scotland, I'll be honest, that was a false narrative as well. The Scotland game, they tore us apart for the first 25 minutes there. And then we got the goals and we comfortably beat them in the end. But look how well they've done now against Spain in their group. And, these teams can have the off day. You got to punish them. And we haven't done that. They had an off night last night, the Dutch, and we should have punished them when we didn't. Didn't have the quality to do it. And I think that does come from the manager not being able to tactically adapt. And I think that's where it is.
It doesn't help, though, Martin, trying to play a system with a system that requires a certain type of player that we don't have. He's playing wing back. I'm not having to go with Colin McDowd. He's playing wing backs with Colin McDowd. He's not a wing back. Alan Brown's not a wing back.
No, but yeah, but we've said that square pegs, round holes. Right?
Exactly.
We've said that in the past. But I mean,
that's the problem.
Look,
But
they're horribly.
Steve Clark isn't doing that, is he?
No, but here's the other thing, lads. It's a horribly unbalanced team, and the amount of times, as I said, I'm obsessed with the Irish team. I watch so much so many crazy games that people wouldn't bother their whole watching. That's how much time I waste. That's how much time I waste on this.
I went to Malta.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, it's so hard to pick a starting 11 for Ireland, no matter what the formation. I wouldn't even go into systems, but no matter what the formation, it's so hard to pick a balanced Ireland team. There's so many right footers. There's so many lads who in one position, not in another. We've so many centre halves, we've so many strikers, yet we've so few wingers and we've so few midfielders. So it's a tricky one for Stephen Kenny, but he hasn't really gotten the balance right. And as I said, lads, I'm seeing I just had a little flick through Twitter there, and still a lot of Kenny in people. And I understand that, people are saying that the big argument is, would another manager have gotten more out of this group, or would they have gotten better results? I don't think that's really the argument. At this stage, it's 3 years of recurring mistakes, mistakes not being reflected on. And to be honest, lads, I'm actually just flat even talking about it. It's just it's football. It's football. It's a ruthless game. And look,
it's not.
I don't know how they can justify sticking.
It's not learning.
I don't know how they can justify it.
It's not learning, and we've gone on about this as well.
No, but it's also his media coverage, his media stuff, interaction doesn't come across anymore. It's just rambling now. People are losing faith in that. They're not believing in the project anymore.
Well, he's dejected.
We've given him the benefit of that. Like I've kind of said, I've heard him speaking, and God, geez, he's an awful speaker. But then when he gets into it and he's comfortable, and that's what I'm hoping he is with the lads in that environment. He's never been good with the media. They shouldn't have him up near the media, but I know he has to do that. But he should have been trained on that. But then he probably is thinking, I'm an experienced European club manager. I've been in loads of finals. I mean, look, he actually went and gave his CV to the press recently, didn't he? So he's a man under pressure, but he should be able to shut down the media. He should be able to shut them down. Martin O'Neill, Mick McCarthy were experts at doing it. And that's what you have to do.
Mick wasn't at first. I mean, I could, if you give me...
Stephen Kenny should be, because he's never got good
if you're to give me like two minutes, I could find a picture of Mick McCarthy giving the middle finger to the Lithuanian press. Look, that's the thing, though. He hasn't learned on the job. We all backed him. We all want him to. I thought it was nonsense. People want them out straight away. People keep bringing up Luxembourg at home. Okay, that happens. Big deal. The thing was, but no one ever mentions that we gave him a hiding away from home 3-0 at the end of that campaign, because it started to click.
And they're not a bad team either.
Exactly. And they had like a 10-year plan. We've gone to the government. Here, government, Leo, we need £1 billion to get our fucking stuff up to snuff. It's well, people never mention that as well. They don't go on about, well, actually, we made that right. We gave them an absolute pasting in Luxembourg. And you see, and here's another thing with the Stephen Kenny era that drives me mad, is that how many lines in the sand do you want? How many markers do you need to put down? There's more markers on the golf course. It's like, it's you look at the end of the campaign, the end of the it was the Serbia game, the 1-1. You think, here we go, lads. The crowd is singing his name, and and he felt uplifted. We were terrible. We got that goal. That was the one. That was the line in the sand. Results improved, performances improved. We won a couple of games. Should have beaten Portugal home. You're thinking, here we go. We're on to the Nations League. And for me, I was like, yes, we finished it. We started appallingly, but we finished it strongly by playing good football. And that goal against Luxembourg, the Callum Robinson one, quality goal, fantastic. Within a year.
But what was the common denominator after that, Dave? What was the massive factor after that?
Oh, well, the coach going.
Yeah, Anthony Barry going.
But what I mean is, with a year, we went from Callum Robinson, and at the end of 1 year, scoring a lovely goal, and then a year later, in 2022, we have him scoring a tap in from a poor back pass from a multiplayer, and that was the only way we won that game. Yeah. It was just this kind of, it's like a graph, peaks and troughs, where you saw with Mick, 96, disaster, 97, 98, and it started to go up, and it was nice. And you can see the progression there.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm taking the discussion to a completely different direction here, but the other thing as well, lads, is this notion of the project, the Stephen Kenny's project, this, Stephen Kenny's project, that. I discussed this last week with Barry Maguire. Do check that out in our recent episode. So obviously Barry, ex-Dutch and Irish international underage. But since I think I'm going to say 2008, we had Wim Koevermans and we had Ruud Doctor in the FAI. And the FAI brought them in because they admired the Dutch system, and the Dutch system has been very successful for developing players and playing a very attractive style of football. Wim Koevermans and Ruud Doctor predominantly encourage a 4-3-3 with the underage systems. Now, I'm a full believer that players develop with their clubs. It's your St. Kevin's Boys, it's your Belvederes, it's your Josephs, it's all those clubs who develop players, and not necessarily fully the FAI. But the FAI do encourage a philosophy in which national teams play. The problem that we had in those years under Doctor and Koevermans was that the senior setup didn't replicate that. We had Martin O'Neill playing kind of a diamond formation, then he went to 5 at the back in his latter years. Mick McCarthy didn't quite do that. Trapattoni was playing 4-4-2. However, the underage teams had a huge amount of success from 2008 to around 2018. We had a lot of under-17s, under-19s European Championship appearances, and a lot of those players are now playing for the senior team. They went through the international underage system playing 4-3-3. Since Stephen Kenny's come in, and not necessarily since Stephen Kenny's come in, but since Anthony Barry came into the backroom team, and since we switched to 3 at the back, it's happened all the way down. So now Jim Crawford is playing 5 at the back. Now Tim Moen is playing 5 at the back. So you can see that has been replicated. So basically 15 odd years, not even 10, 11 years of this 4-3-3 attractive style of play, success with the underage systems, that's just been completely thrown away. So this Stephen Kenny project, I'm afraid, is doing a little bit more harm than good, because yes, the international team are passing the ball around more at senior level. Yes, we absolutely needed that. Yes, we needed a bit of continuity with the underage teams and the senior team. But there's been almost an overnight overhaul of the underage structures. And if someone within the FAI, within the coaching structures, can maybe put me in my place with that, I would be kind of delighted, because it's a fear of mine. It is a fear of mine that we've undone a huge amount of work done by Koevermans and Doctor. But this project, as I said, I think is doing a little bit more harm than good. And I think the project is a buzzword. It's propaganda in a way from Kenny, and I don't see where it's going, and I don't see anything tangible about this project other than the fact that we pass the ball around the back 3 a lot.
I think that's really interesting you brought that up as well, and I'd be interested to know if that is a kind of director in a sense. I could
be completely wrong saying that, by the way, lads. I could be completely
I know,
but
it's an interesting way. We might get insight, because we have a lot of people we know within the FAI, probably in coaching circles and things like that, who might know that answer, because the whole thing is there's regular meetings. I've spoken to Keith Andrews and how the interaction between the squads, they want that philosophy, but I don't know who's driving that. Is it Stephen Kenny driving that? Was that his role ever? It's an interesting one. It kind of brings it on to the Martin O'Neill thing, Dave, where he said it the other day, didn't he? Like, what is his job, Stephen Kenny? Because my job when I was the Ireland manager was to qualify for tournaments, and this guy seems to just be getting a free ride off the Irish media.
He qualified for one. We'll move on to Martin O'Neill. He qualified for one tournament, got very close to a second tournament, and then got us relegated from the Nations League, which got us a playoff somehow. What did you make of Martin O'Neill?
Just give us a bit of a spiel of the comments then, what he came out with.
Well, basically, I've got it here. So basically, he just turned around and said that the Irish media basically, he didn't have a good relationship with them. They didn't think much of him. He didn't think much of them. And pretty much, they sort of forgot about 2016, Euro 2016. And they never really gave him the time that they've given Stephen Kenny. And basically, they've just given Stephen Kenny loads of time, but gave him none. And Jim White asked him, like, are you a bit bitter the way that ended? And he goes, yeah, I am.
Martin O'Neill would have been sacked in this scenario, by the way. I'll just pipe in there. He would have been sacked in this scenario.
Yeah, but can I've heard a lot of that. Any other manager would have got the same time. Yeah, but hold on. Like, let's not forget, chaps. Stephen Kenny, and Dunphy did mention this in his article today, and this is one of the few. Now, I like Dunphy, but this is one of the only things I agree with him on. Stephen Kenny had a completely different mantra and mission to any other Ireland manager, and that was fix Irish football. That's what he was given. Now, whether he's the right man for the job or not, well, recent results will tell you that has completed the fullness of time. But that's what he's had. Mike McCarthy came in 2019, get us to the Euros. Never mind any of this development nonsense. Get us to the Euros. I want the Euros in the stadium in 2020. That was the mantra from John Delaney. Then Stephen Kenny, right, you fix all the problems, and then I'm going to bugger off to UEFA. That was it, right? Fix the problems,
Or to prison.
Well, one can only wish. No, allegedly. But that was the mantra. So people are saying, why is he giving so much time? Because he had to go in, undo all the damage, bring in loads of players. Now, to Stephen Kenny's credit, he has brought players in. He deserves credit for that, not praise. He deserves credit for that, for bringing in the young lads, because previous managers like O'Neill didn't care about the development of Irish football, and he didn't. He basically akined Declan Rice playing for Ireland as being dragged as a shotgun wedding, as being held prisoner. I know, I didn't want to do that to the lad now. Jesus, now.
Same as Obafemi.
Same as Obafemi. Like, he almost created an international incident that didn't exist. Now, the degree of the situation, yet again, the father, it was a bit tempestuous. Tempestuous? Well, fuck, whatever the word. Tempestuous. Is that the word? Yeah.
Can I come in when you're ready, Dave? I just have...
Yeah, but, that was a relationship between Keane and Grealish's father. And Martin O'Neill, as I said, that about, I didn't want to do that to him. Heaven forbid that the manager of the Republic of Ireland tries to get a player to play for the Republic of Ireland. Imagine that. Imagine having to do your fucking job. And then this guy comes on the radio and he's going on about it, and he never talks about 2018, how we won one game, lost one player who's now worth 100 million. I know it's madness. You could argue that he cost us another player who's worth 100 million. That's 200 million pounds a player he's cost us, while his assistant manager, Roy Keane, was going off and starting rows with people. And then we got relegated from the Nations League because we lost 4-1 in Wales. We drew 0-0 at home to Northern Ireland. That was a friendly, by the way. And that was absolute dross. We lost 1-0 at home to Wales. And then we drew twice. Once in Aarhus, which was the final game, once a home double. It was dreadful. He never brings it up. And also, he was tarting himself out to the Premier League. And now I got absolute dog's abuse about this on the Facebook page. You can check it out there. Oh, what do you know? Should delete your page. Fuck off. He basically went out because he wasn't happy about the way the press challenged me and asked me questions. I'm Martin O'Neill. I've come in here to, I am Irish football. You should get down on my knees. I play for Brian Clough. Did you know that, lads? He played for Brian Clough. Anyway, he wasn't happy about the criticism and then starts putting himself out to Stoke and Everton. They said, Martin, we're only going to give you till the end of the season. No more. Oh, well, I don't really want that, lads. Oh, well, John, is that offer still on the table? The one we agreed before we got absolutely battered by the Danish in Dublin. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. There you go. Sign that, grand. Well, I suppose I'll do this, so. And he he sleepwalked it. And he was disinterested. And he didn't want to be here. But he never talks about that. Roy Keane never talks about that. When he went on, we deserved another crack of it. No, you did not. You didn't want to be there. And he spews out this absolute bollocks. And it drives me mad. And that's why I went on about that. And people need to remember that. They forget about Stoke. They forget about Everton. They just go on about your 2016. And then Stephen Kenny. And that's it. Yeah. No, read between the lines. It's all there for you. Anyway, that's my rant over.
I just have one to come. And I know, lads, I'm very conscious that I keep segueing the conversation here. But I'm just seeing a lot of comments come in regarding Stephen Kenny blood and players. Now, this is another one that a little bit like the whole projects mantra that keeps going on. The blooding player side of things, I've just seen an image from the team from exactly 5 years ago to the night when we played Poland in a friendly under Martin O'Neill. And I'm going to read out the lineup and I'm going to read out the bench, okay? Yeah. And the point I'm going to make, lads, is I do not believe for a second that a quarter of these players would still be in the squad. The whole blooding player side of things, if you look at the team last night, like Gavin Bazunu, very talented goalkeeper, ended up in the Premier League. He was always going to be in the Ireland squad. Same with Nathan Collins, extremely talented. Evan Ferguson, absolutely. Martin O'Neill or Trapattoni still would have picked him. So yes, Kenny has capped them and he's brought them in. But you have to keep in mind, lads, these lads were playing first team football when they were brought in. we didn't have that kind of caliber of youth under Martin O'Neill. We might have under Trapattoni. There was a couple of players that were, even
Seamus Coleman.
Well, Seamus Coleman's an example. Jeff Hendrick was about 18, 19 playing for Derby, and he never
James
got a
McLean,
look in.
banging in goals for Stoke.
Exactly. Now we did give him a chance. Now I'm going to go through this lineup, lads, and tell me now that Stephen Kenny or any manager would have picked these. Okay, so in goal, Darren Randolph. Then you have Cyrus Christie, Enda Stevens, Jeff Hendrick, Aidan O'Brien, Richard Keogh, Kevin Long, John Egan, Colin O'Dowda, Callum Robinson, Sean Williams, Colin Doyle, Shane Duffy, Kieran Clark, Matt Doherty, Alan Judge, Darrell Horgan, Conor Harahan, David Myler, Ronan Curtis, and Graham Burke. Now, lads, if anyone says that the current Irish team isn't better than that Irish team,
top 4 in any league in the world,
then they're fucking crazy. We've a better squad now than we did 5 years ago, and some of those lads are still involved. Some of those players are retired. Some of those players are playing in much lower divisions, or they've gone off the radar altogether. Stephen Kenny, to his credit, did blood the players, but these players would have been blooded by any manager, I believe, even Martin O'Neill, because they were playing first team football, because they were absolutely quality. Nathan Collins, Andrew Mbamdele, who he didn't actually play yesterday, going for whatever, £20 million, whatever the fee is. Evan Ferguson would have been played by any manager. So he has blooded lads, but also, lads, he's reverted to Enda Stevens against France. He's reverted to Shane Duffy in the last 2 games. He's gone back to Jeff Hendrick again and again and again. So we can talk about him blooding the players. Those players would have been blooded by anyone given their progression at club level. And he has reverted to James McLean, Shane Duffy, Jeff Hendrick, these players. So, there's a bit of hypocrisy in it. And, I think he's taken a little bit too much credit for something that would have been inevitable under any manager.
That's why I said credit, not praise. You still do deserve credit to do it, because you still have to do it. And we have seen it. James McLean didn't go to the Euro 2012. He's banging goals in Stoke. He went in the squad, was told you won't be playing. And you had the same with Seamus Coleman. No, you're not going. And he just burst on the scene. And he did burst on the scene with Everton. So just because they're there doesn't mean the manager is going to pick him, although common sense, you would hope dictate would. So no, I get what you're saying, but I mean, he still deserves credit, but yeah, he doesn't deserve praise. But he's done the right thing.
He refers to that all the time as that's his narrative, isn't it? Well, I brought in look what he did yesterday, like bringing on Festi and Sinclair Armstrong, I felt was allowing him to be able to say, we've just took on a top team in European football, and I brought on another player, played him his second cap. I gave another one his debut tonight. That's what we're, an emerging team. I was very conscious of him using the word emerging coming through in the last 2 games. And
3 years,
put a battle in, of course, and that's the thing as well. Saying, they worked so hard, they did that. That's the very minimum we expect from an Ireland team going out. We've gone out against other really world class teams and put challenges in and battling in. That's what you do going on.
That's the minimum. But the next step. But the thing is, lads, for years and years and years, for fucking years, it's been, we battled hard. It was the hard graft. The next thing, and 100% commitment, all this kind of thing was full blooded. The next thing we have to say is, our patterns of play were excellent. We put our foot in the ball really well. We held on to possession really well. That needs to be the progression. The passion side of things, lads. You can show passion. Frankie de Jong last night, outrageous player. Like, he showed unbelievable commitment, unbelievable passion. He gave absolutely everything. But he wasn't flying into tackles or kicking the shit out of lads. He was holding on to possession. He was using the ball correctly. He was controlling the game. That's what the next step is. Stephen Kenny's talking about overhauling Irish football, changing the game. That needs to be the mantra going forward. It has to be, no, we retain possession well, we use possession well, we progress the ball well. It can't be, well, we flew into tackles, we did this, that, and the other. When you're flying into tackles, when you're putting immense pressure on teams, and when you're not coming out with the ball, it looks good. Yeah, it gets the crowd going, but it's not necessarily productive. And there is a place for it. But the next step for us is playing a modern style of football, and that in itself, lads, is commitment.
I mean, Rio Ferdinand, I'm not a fan of as a pundit. I think he talks utter nonsense, but I will give him credit for this. He said that, it's a bit like if you have to make a sliding tackle, you've lost, you've made a mistake.
Yeah, once you come off your feet,
Yeah, and he's right. It's a bit like that, isn't it? You know, when you're making all these sliding tackles, yet again takes you to Shane Duffy. You know, he's great at a last ditch tackle, but why does it need to be a last ditch tackle? Because they've lost their shape. They've got in behind them.
They've got him
Someone's
right,
made a mistake. They've lost their man.
and that mistake from
Not
Doherty, the
concentrating.
header in, it's that bit of class and composure and that mistake. I mean, but look, I think it's worth as well mentioning Bazunu made 2 brilliant saves. I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
One with his leg was great.
It could two with the legs, wasn't it? But I mean, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been like they could have really controlled that game. And again, he made the changes. Go back to the main game management, bringing on Sinclair very late on when you're looking for a goal, bringing on Jamie McGrath. It wasn't going to get the crowd fired up. I'd rather have seen Aaron Connolly come on with 20 minutes left and think, God, he's going to change it up now, and he's going to try and get that ball in behind and have Aaron Connolly causing Van Dijk problems. But instead, it was just, what are they going to do now? And it wasn't, it wasn't an idea, because I know Ronnie Whelan said, we need to bring up Shane. I think he said something, didn't he? That we need to
Shane Duffy up top.
Front.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. That's mental. Like,
you leave Ronnie alone.
No, that's just, you can put, if you're going to put players up there, that's fine. But I mean, like, it's going to get the crowd going. I mean, that is a 1980s comment, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not being funny though, Martin. What else?
You've got to get the ball in there. Yeah, I know that, but that's what I'm saying. He's put Sinclair up there, top, and you've got to start putting the ball in there, haven't you? And we didn't get the ball over, and I could see the frustration with Stephen Kenny of, with the stupidness with the throws. Like, we had Ryan Manning come all the way over to take a throw, and you're thinking he's going to put it in the box here. We couldn't even get that right last night. Surely it's got to be Duffy flicking it on for right.
But no urgency either.
Yeah.
No urgency either. I mean, everything was so slow. And even Chidozie Ogbene, I think, Martin, you put a poll out on one of the socials, and I think he got player of the window. Like, Chidozie Ogbene was ridiculously wasteful. Like he had no end products. He was taking on players, and he was actually allowing, as a winger, like I obviously coach football. I played a lot until I was, kind of into my late teens and stuff. And I was a winger, and I remember my coach is always saying, great guy, actually, Jerry. Wasn't even actually a coach of mine, just a mentor of mine as a young lad. But Jerry would have coached Stella Maris and Kevin's, and would have brought a lot of players through. Would have brought a lot of players over to England as a scout. And I remember him saying to me, because I remember just bumping into him one day, and he said, "You're playing as a winger, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well," he said, "here's a little bit of advice." He goes, "If you're playing, you're right-footed." I was like, "Yeah." "If you're playing on the right-hand side," he said, "drive at the players and get the delivery in as quickly as possible, because your centre forward will be running with momentum. If you stop and if you start doing step overs," because I used to love a step over. I used to think I was fucking Cristiano Ronaldo, and I'd probably fall over the ball. He said, "When you start doing that," he said, "the defenders get set. And then it's harder for your centre forward to play against the centre backs." And now that's an issue across the board in football. But Ogbene and James McLean, to his credit, will get the ball in nice and early. And we got 2 goals against Gibraltar because of that. Ogbene was taking the ball in. He wasn't running directly. And then he started taking the player on. And while he was taking the player on, the Dutch defence could get set. And by the time he got the delivery in, it was either blocked by Nathan Aki, or the centre halves were able to clear the ball. So it's simple things like that, simple things like that. No urgency last night. And again, I wouldn't necessarily fully blame Chidozie Ogbene. He's a powerful juggernaut of a player. Stephen Kenny should have been saying to Ogbene last night, "No, you literally drive for the corner flag and you try and get the delivery in nice and early for Adam Ida. He's a big guy. If he has a bit of momentum, he might be able to get his head in it." And no, he slowed everything down. The Dutch could get set. And the amount of space last night, lads, the amount of space in midfield, when Jamie McGrath came on, he was playing all. He should have been dropping into those pockets, and instead he was in line with Adam Ida. It was ridiculous the way that we were set up last night. Ridiculous going forward.
No, that's fair. We're going to move it on to the comments, lads, because we were sort of going a bit over all venting our spleen. Quick question before I do. I couldn't hear because I was up in the gods. Obviously, now when Stephen Kenny's name is mentioned, when you do the big, "and the Republic of Ireland manager Stephen Kenny," and you heard a mixed reaction. At the end, were the team booed or not?
Slightly. I was up in the premium level, slightly, like just more pissed off with the kind of like a bit of a jeer that Holland had won, and it was when the announcers scored or whatever. But
it wasn't an overwhelming one.
Team.
Okay,
no, it wasn't
that's fair. That's good. Right, lads, let's get into the comments and we'll continue the conversation. Oh, I'm sweating. God, it's still bloody warm here in London. Sean McDonald. Who do we get to replace him, and will they really do a better job? Jesus, we'll be here on that, all night on that one, lads. I very quickly, lads. One word, one name answers for me. It's Lee Carsley. I think the project is very important. The project is pure. The project is sound. Just need to get perhaps the right man in. Martin.
I don't have a name, but what would say on Lee Carsley is, did you see? You read the Daily Star today, and there was a bit of piece on him saying, like, he wants to go with England to retain that title that he won with them. That's his ambition. To get him away from England, where he's set. I think they've got to get a lot of money, and I think again, I've actually said, and this is not what I want to see, but I've said I would not be surprised, and I'll be laughed down for this. I wouldn't be surprised if Roy Keane was given the job, and I'll tell you why. Because the FAI need to get interest up again. They don't even know who we're going to be playing. They need a sponsor. You're going to get is, I think why this could happen is you could go very short term with this, give Roy Keane the job, bums on seats, sell tickets, high profile. That's our international manager.
The thing is,
we'll bring coaches in with him, sell the tickets on the back of it. Get a
that's the thing. If you get a coach, I would not have Roy Keane. Absolutely no way would I have Roy Keane. But if you had Roy Keane and if you had a couple of really good, like Craig, I mentioned this in our WhatsApp group, Craig Shakespeare, who was the coach for Leicester when they won the league. He was under Sam Allardyce for that one game or whatever. He's meant to be an unbelievable coach, and the international coaching tickets are usually part-time, aren't they? So if you had someone like that, Stephen Reid, who was involved with Scotland.
McLaren as well. Steve McLaren, for example, at Man United, coming in as that's what that Ten Hag's got. A very experienced
him with his fluent Dutch.
Well, to be fair, to be fair, McLaren made his name as a coach rather than a manager. So people laugh McLaren, and look, United are doing shit at the moment, but he's a coach. He's a proper
in the 90s. He was a great coach.
So like I wouldn't have Keane, but if you had Keane and a experienced backroom team who were basically going to set the team up, call the shots with the tactics, coach the players, get the best out of the players, you might be onto something from a commercial point of view, but Jesus, it would be some circus. I suppose, sorry, I know you just asked who Dave, and I'm going to echo James, who does a bit of writing on the website, but definitely Hervé Renard. We're not going to get him. He just got the women's job for the French, but definitely Hervé Renard. I think we need a manager who's managed at international level and has seen different international size. He was managing Saudi Arabia. He won the AFCON with Zambia. You need an experienced international manager who's going to get the best out of limited players and who is going to maximize our talented players coming through, such as Evan Ferguson, Nathan Collins, and so on.
Let me come in quickly on that. They will not do that, quickly. And the reason why they won't do that is they need a big name. They're not going to have a foreigner that no one knows. It's all commercial. They need a name that they can sell tickets on the back of. And why I'm saying Roy Keane again is they might just do it for like 2 interim period, because the next manager, when Evan Ferguson's had another few years of development and all the lads are on 40, 50 caps, we might not qualify for the next tournament qualification under Roy Keane. But then the next manager, that'll be his task. It's just pushing it down the line, I admit. But that's then the job. The key thing the FAI will want to do is qualify for Euro 28 when it's in our own backyard.
The thoughts of that are terrifying. Fucking terrifying.
Yeah. I know.
Terrifying.
Just on that, I do agree. I don't want Roy Keane anywhere near the job. I think they will go down that line because the FAI, I think, will panic. They'll say, well, we tried the League of Ireland thing. That didn't work. We need to get people on side. And they'll go with a big name. Like Stan was a big name after the Brian Kerr experiment failed. So I can see them doing it. Right, lads. Lots of comments.
Yeah.
We've been on early an hour. I want to be done before midnight. So let's go as quick as we can. John Foy, I saw Eamon's article. Never mind, O'Neill. Good man, John. Martin Fitzpatrick. He's no sympathy for illness. Martin, baby, come on. Reese Madison. All right, lads. Do you think Kenny should be gone in the next coming days or the end of the campaign?
Next coming days. Give the new manager a couple of competitive games to find his feet and blood a few new players. It's an extra couple of games. It's a free shot. Give them as many games to prep for the next campaign.
Yeah, I think give him October, give him the Greece game. It's his last chance, and that's just been really, really fair because I just think he can argue we had the 2 top teams in the group. We were very close against them. We are getting better. He had a lot of injuries to contend with. I think he'll go. If we put in a performance against Greece and he gets the 6 points in that part of it, it's finishing on a high.
Okay.
For me.
John Foy, second half, he should have changed the formation to match the Dutch. Big mistake. We said a lot about his in-game management. Interesting nonsense. How you doing over on YouTube? Evening, lads. Definitely time for change. The Kenny era has run out of steam, unfortunately. Darryl O'Connor, how you doing, Darryl? Inconsistency with Kenny. Last year's winner, for example, shot against Armenia and Ukraine, then pulls us back with Scotland. Just a matter of who his replacement will be. Will Carsley wanted, etc. Excuse me, Adam T. On YouTube, Kenny's bitten off more than he can chew. Surely he knows it, despite what he and Nathan Collins say to the media. Yeah, he was big time supporting his manager there. A lot of players actually came out to support the manager, to be fair. Graham Farrell, how you doing, Graham? Only half a comment here. How is Doherty still getting a game? The chap is clueless. Same with Hendrick, still getting into squads. As I said before, and like Duffy was getting at, what he's trying is commendable. He's had bad luck with injuries. I'm not sure. Looking back on it, was poor performance. We did well. Problem is we can't seem to stay in the game longer than 45 minutes. He was reactive rather than being proactive. Kuma made a change at halftime. He didn't. And I knew what was coming, and bang, Weghorst. John Foy, how you doing, John? Oh, there, keep it clean, guys. Oh
never.
Double entendres earlier on. Alan Fred Griffin, don't have the players. End off. Can't get why O'Shea didn't play both games. Trying to appease the senior players. Telling you now, lads, trying to appease the senior players. John Foy, Kenny has a style of play, but he hasn't the players to implement it. Very true. Playing wingbacks.
Yeah, but at the same time, yeah, exactly. He playing wingbacks and then trying to implement a system and playing two in midfield. So it's
all over the place.
The we don't have the players argument is it's understandable, but it's also not a full factor. Like
they haven't given a chance.
Yeah, but you maximize. I've said it several times already, but like you maximize limited players if you're a decent manager.
New in New York on YouTube, who's replaced Kenny? If you're talking about who's the best available manager, Slaven Bilic or Hansi Flick. But if it's a case of who the FA can afford, well, it would be Damien Duff or Neil Lennon.
Definitely Bilic, but sadly not available anymore. He went to Saudi.
Lennon did he?
No, Bilic.
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Lennon would survive in Saudi somehow.
in an alcohol-free country.
I don't think his lifestyle would work there. Yeah.
Very quickly, and I mean very quickly, Damien Duff. Bit too soon for him, do you imagine? I mean, he's got a passion.
He'll be in contention for it. And Robbie will be in contention for it as well.
Let's not mention him.
He will be.
Damien Duff, though.
I'd
take Duff over Robbie.
I don't know if he'd want to work for the FAI, but again, if you've Duff with a strong backroom team, I don't see why not.
Fair. Martin Fitzpatrick, Keith Tracy was saying Damien Duff is his shout as next manager. Yep, saw that and off the ball. Can't afford anyone who's been managing Premier League recently. Very true.
Sebastian Olsen, can't you? You can though. So just on this, sorry, Graham Potter was talked about a little bit today. Now he got a massive payout from Chelsea, and so money's not an object for him. He could easily come in there and go, give me a campaign, get my profile up of doing really well with this lot and sorting out their house, and I'll come in there and do it and have a go at international, because he was linked with being the next England manager if Southgate had gone. So that could happen. That's not too far away. That, because I think if Brendan Rodgers was available now, he would definitely be in there. He might leave Celtic again though, would he?
Who's that?
So Rodgers, he wouldn't walk out in Celtic again, would he?
Oh,
Jesus,
he might be thrown out.
I might upset a few people.
No, I do see what you're saying there, because look, Jack and Mick both took massive pay cuts to take the Ireland job in the 80s and 90s. So it can happen. Now, this is a whole different ballgame. But, I get what you're saying there. Graham Potter, who else did he turn down? He turned someone else down. He turned down Leicester, didn't he? As well in the Championship. A couple of clubs approached him. He's a very good coach, Graham Potter. Yeah, and somebody like that.
I think there's still a rigidness with Potter, though. Like, and you look at a lot of these kind of managers with those kind of mid to top range kind of Premier League clubs, like even Nuno Espirito Santos, like really, really good with Wolves, but again, had a certain selection of players that were part of that product. Matt Doherty being one of them, went to Spurs, didn't work out. So I actually think Potter would struggle with this, especially not being used to coaching at international level. He was very much a systematic coach, and he took years to kind of implement what he did.
Fair. Sebastian Knowlton, Armenia lads. Armenia. Yeah, sorry. That's that was me. that goes to Graham Farrell's 2-up against Azerbaijan at home. Did we not draw 1-1? Yeah, sorry, Armenia, Graham and Sebastian. Thank you guys. They all sound the same. No, they don't. Although actually in the Caucasus, but anyway. Also, Luxembourg was the low point. They've actually kicked on and are joint second in the group at the moment. We've gone backwards and rapidly. That's the thing. We've gone backwards and everyone else is catching up and overtaking. That's what people forget. Same with the League of Ireland. It's gone on so well. Yeah, but the other teams have gone bloody even further ahead.
Context is key, isn't it? Like, context is key.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Darrell O'Connor, like some suggesting Allardyce and likes it really backwards. We want to keep him over that. We'd want to keep him over that, but I've come around to the fact that we need to change, need to do this right. And Darrell, I know you're a big Kenny fan. Chris, Dave, I've seen you walk into the ground last night. I was eating curry chip and shouted across to you, most attractive podcast, my arse. I think you were on the phone and pretending to be.
He actually told me, Chris, that he saw you and he ignored you, and he just says, you know, like, yeah, he's gone a bit high profile now.
Well, Chris, you don't subscribe. You see, you don't pay the monthly subscription.
Like Dave, you should be on Instagram and saying, oh, thank you to all the fans who approached me and said hello.
Yeah, all right.
And ignored. And we don't have tickets though, do we? Don't ask you for tickets.
Don't have tickets.
Do tickets.
We actually did source them now tickets, but
we did.
Yeah, Chris, my apologies. I do apologize for that. I was very unwell yesterday. I'm still unwell today. And who was I on the phone with yesterday? It was coming from the ground. I was trying to phone my mate, my Garda mate, trying to hide the bodies.
Parole officers, huh?
Yeah. Why do you think I'm back to Ireland so many times? Darrell O'Connor, I want to go to major tournament before I have grey hair. Oh, Jesus, yeah. Jason McCutcheon, I've been a big supporter of Stephen Kenny. However, the bigger picture here is investment in the infrastructure around the country, grassroots. Irish soccer is in a disgraceful state. €1 billion. €1 billion. And Leo Varadkar had the absolute gall to say that this is a great opportunity. The Euro 2038, whatever campaign it is, the 28, isn't it? The Euros. We want to show off our world-class facilities. What world-class facilities? One stadium.
Or half a stadium that looks like a toilet seat.
Yeah, do you know what though? The New Lansdowne Road is actually that is a lovely stadium. I genuinely, it's lovely.
It's all right. But yeah, you get press passes. You're not gonna. They don't build the stadium.
It's lovely.
Don't worry.
They serve lovely curry, and it was lovely last night. I couldn't taste the bloody thing because of my cold, but it was. But I'm sure it was lovely. And the staff there, by the way, if you're watching, the staff in the Aviva are actually very, very nice. They're very nice people. Graham Farrell, he's walking contradiction. This Stephen says one thing, does another. Says he wanted to play 4-4-3. 4-3-3, then persists with 5-3-2. It's fucking mental. You can't play Russian roulette with team selection. It's costing us massively, and we're limping to fourth in this group. Graham again, flecking Egypt. He was horrendous. He's never been near any of the Dutch youth teams. Darrell O'Connor, as we all agree, Greece away was our cup final for this group. The deflation after losing in Athens was the worst I've seen. Very deflated. Even in Paris, even running Gibraltar game, it wasn't good. Cormac Murray, Roy would be the disaster. I agree, Cormac, but you know what? It wouldn't be boring. It wouldn't be boring. Dave, it's not boring now, to be fair. Dave Walsh, agree Martin's comment on Duff. We've to gamble on our next manager given the money situation. Least he's played at the top level. We've gambled on Kenny and it's run its course at this stage. John Foy, Keane, no good at all. Were you going for the pun there, John? I'm not sure. It's like an Alan Partridge. Keane, no. Anthony Fulganati, that's a shit joke, sorry. Anthony Fulganati, Lee Carty will be a good appointment. I agree. He'd be my guy. Darrell O'Connor, Martin O'Neill interview in TalkSport was so negative. He's one of the ones that never gave him a chance. Bitter, similar to Kerr. Yep. You should open up a lemonade stand together to that bitter. Piotr O'Doon, good man. Done. It didn't work. So people who didn't want him were right. Yeah, I knew that was coming. True, Patter, but a stop clock is right twice a day, isn't it? Like people that wanted him made from the very, very beginning did not give him a chance. Okay, they were proven right, but there's a way to go about it. Like give the guy a chance. They just didn't give him a chance. And even when it was looking positive, they didn't want to acknowledge. You got to be fair and balanced. Now, fullness of time, we've seen it, and we need a change. Anyway. Dave Walsh, Carsley for me is next manager. Wouldn't be upset with Duff. Yeah, I'm the same. Can't think of anyone else who'd take it or who we could afford. Archduke 8199. Don't want Keane as manager, but can see the FAI going with him. They are fucked money wise. I need to sell Cease. The Barcelos will love an appointment. Martin would anyway.
Just on that one. That's a key factor on this. The ticket sales. The lads around me. All right, I was in the premium level last night. I was, on a season ticket. A lad from West London, I swapped with him and whatever it was. But a lads around there, a lot of it, even at the game the other night, and generally you go to Lansdowne as well. They don't have a clue what's going on the pitch, and that sounds really derogatory of the Irish support. But a lot of them, even when we played against France, it was all to see Evan Ferguson. It's coming along. You don't know much about the team, and now we're obsessed about it, as Nick said earlier. But they don't have a clue. The comments coming out during the game, and the excitement was brilliant, and I went along with it. But as soon as their penalty went in, it was all just shit. The narrative with them just all changed really, really negative. And we're shy. Look, he's fucking useless now. And well, he plays there and all this. He's so crap. And it was just given out about them. And there's no real support there. But I think the fact is the FAI they have to sell tickets, and they're going to really struggle. They're already thinking they're going to be down about 8,000 on the renewals. So they need a big name coming in.
They need money. They need money. Like, they're in debt. They're seriously in debt.
The other manager perhaps is Chris Hughton, and that's been mentioned. And I know we're talking about the style of football and stuff, but I think, again, Chris Hughton will not command a lot of money to come and take the job.
Well, we'll get to that in a second, because just know that Chris Hughton, nothing against, man, absolute gentleman, trailblazer, fantastic player, lovely man, but no. Mark Hatchie, clueless, lack of experience in management other than League of Ireland. By Stephen Kenny, quite simply, way out of his depth. Should never got the job in the first place. Patter again. Seriously, Kenny, way out of his depth. FAI Fat Cat are to blame for leaving there so long. John Foy, bring us some of the under 21s. Well, we thought he was going to do that in November.
He did. He brought in Sinclair. Sinclair Armstrong,
you should have done it in November, shouldn't he? Cormac Murray, Kenny Furness has blooded a lot of you, especially at the start of his time. It's a case of good coach, but not a good manager, a man manager. I don't know about man management. I think they want to play for him. He's kept him on board. They respect him. But I just don't think he's consistent enough. If he had stuck to his guns, Cormac, that's my thing. If he had stuck to his guns and just kept with the plan and what he set out to do, and then do you remember there's pressure? There was like the 1-1, wasn't there, at home to Qatar? Sorry, away to Qatar. I think it was in Hungary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And, Noel Quinn was there with Keith Andrews. It looked a lot better with the older heads. So he did try with the young lads. And then he went with... That was the 1-0 at home to Luxembourg. He should have stuck with them. And then, 6 months, whatever down the line, they'd be better. They'd learn from it. They'd be stronger. But he didn't. And he went back to the older players. Anyway, Jennifer Nee, Rafa Benitez. No. Great in his day in the 2000s, but I think he's gone, Jennifer, to be honest with you.
He's not available anyway.
Not available. He would command a king's ransom. And look what he did to Everton. Fantastic. Cornelius Barnett. Have the FAI the mind to bring in a decent manager? I think one could be found. I think a deal could be brought in. Definitely. I
think it's going to be... I can't help but feel it's going to be a very out there appointment. Like, I think Brian Barry Murphy, he's with the Man City development team. I think he's very much in the running. I think someone along those lines, someone who's maybe a young up-and-coming coach who's very highly regarded within the English system where most of our players are. So I can see someone like Duff. I can see someone like Brian Barry Murphy. Look at some of the assistant appointments, like very, very out there. Anthony Barry was extremely out there, but a very, very good appointment. John Eustace as well. I think he's up for the championship manager of the month. I think there's talk that he's been looked at by other clubs. Birmingham are going well, aren't they? So even Duff himself was an excellent appointment as an assistant. So it could be a very out there appointment by a very highly recommended manager.
Has to be a cute appointment. Let's not look to throw money at it. Let's not go down the Trapattoni or the Martin O'Neill route. Okay, this has to be. We have to invest in younger players. The plan is a good plan. It's been implemented. The execution has been poor. That's it. It's a good plan. So hopefully the FAI have the discipline. And look, if they don't have anyone lined up, take your time. Then take your time and have somebody lined up. Line someone up. Take your time on it. Don't throw money at it. Don't throw money down the drain. Don't go for a rock star manager and rock star wages and he fucks off after every, and has no connection to the job, doesn't want to do it, watches DVDs instead of goes to games. That's what Trapattoni did. And then after Euro 2012, he was then made to go to games, which is ridiculous. Nothing like that. There was one out there. There's somebody out there that can get this team playing. I'm telling you now. Cormac Murray, is it attractive football or possession for sake of it at times? Apart from a few games, it is ultimately cross the set pieces we have relied on. I agree there, Cormac. I think
it's not that attractive. Like I said, it's not that attractive.
not.
I mean, giving the ball away cheaply a lot is not attractive. Knocking the ball around. Now, look, there are times we put lovely patterns of play together, but in the final third, it really is lacking. Even look at Adam Ida, those 2 chances he had when he was basically 1-on-1 with the keeper and he got his back turned to goal. You should have midfielders bombing on there. You should have players knowing exactly where they need to be. Like the furthest man forward always seems to be the furthest man with the ball in possession. And as I said, when you have Chidozie Ogbene as your main creative outlet, and he keeps allowing teams to get set, that's not a good kind of tactic to have. And then Jason Knight is a very, very tidy player, but when he's nothing in front of him and when he's no runners, in behind, then he's dealing with something that's very, very limited. So as I said, you can pass the ball around, but I mean, 10 years ago, that was a decent tactic, knocking the ball around the back and trying to open up the space. So it looks better because we're not used to it.
Yeah,
but it's lagging years and years and years behind.
No, I saw that a lot last night, and when we broke forward, even against France, we broke forward. There was no one. It was no one, and then it's gone. And then, better run up there, and then it's gone. Football's about fractions. It's about millimeters, centimeters. It's about split seconds, and we just don't have that. Cracking on, Jimmy Shell. It's a pity for the style of football that we haven't a young Wezzo in our midfield. Well, there you go. Martin O'Neill wouldn't play him, would he? Neither would Trapp. Darrell O'Connor. Wonder does Lee Carsley play with wing backs? They won 3-0 today. 21s against Luxembourg today. You know what? I'm pretty sure Lee Carsley would look at it and be diligent enough to go, right, what players do I have? What do I have here? And he would build a system that would suit the players he has. And that's what the manager...
It's system above formation. Like Slaven Bilic said years ago, didn't he? He said the formation may look like the bones of it, but I mean, you can go from 5 at the back to 4 at the back, depending on your system, very, very fluidly. It all depends on who you select and what system you implement. So the formation is very much just the skeleton.
Yeah, absolutely. Evan Ganley, our set pieces crossing was horrific last night. Well, I thought McLean's were excellent, but once he went, it went to shit. It absolutely went to shit. John Foy, yes, it was more attractive football, but with no end result. But the mistakes keep happening. That's costing us matches. They got to be aggressive when every ball and get on with the play. Press. We need the pressure consistently. Put them under pressure. There you go. Jared O'Connor, who do you think will be the top 3 candidates for the job? Well, I think it's going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, lads, it's going to be Keane, it's going to be Duff, it's probably going to be Carsley, isn't it?
I think Duff, Carsley and Brian Barry Murphy. But I honestly think it's going to be someone that we just didn't see coming.
It'll either be somebody we didn't see coming or Roy Keane, because they're gonna panic. No, they're gonna panic. They're gonna panic, and I think they're gonna panic, and they're gonna think money. And we need to get bums on seats. That's what they're gonna go for, the box office.
I just don't. I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening.
I hope it doesn't.
Hope it doesn't. Yeah.
Tell you now.
I just don't. I don't think it will. I don't think it will. I just can't see it. Yeah. I can't see it happening. Commercial or not, I just can't see.
Wait did you see Martin when we're doing the Roy Keane appointment episode? No, I can't see it happening, lads. Can't see it happening. John Foy, and just want to add, needs to mix it up even with a few long balls in places. John, absolutely. Nothing wrong with a bit of that when you're 1-0 down, 15, 20 minutes to go. You 1 goal down. Go for it. Darrell O'Connor, worst thing about this is the I told you so brigade who won't even go to the games, who sit in their bar stool from a public calling for Big Sam in, or slag off the fans for chanting Argentina. We weren't even at the match, just say. Excuse me. Ken Gorry, would another manager have got more out of them isn't the question. It's how long do we let this shambles continue before we change things. I don't think it's going to go on much longer now. I think, Ken, it's optics. We saw what happened with the Vera Pau situation with the FAI. Do they want to say 2 managers or 2 national managers in space a week and then take the criticism and then have it all kind of lashed at them? Or do you want to take our time, give them to the fullness of time? You've already made a decision, and then, take your time and go about it. I think the decision's been made. That's my opinion. But it's when they pull the trigger, basically. Dave McGuinness, the issue is the majority of fans like yourselves exasperated with it and with him. He's causing people to withdraw faith as his dinner makes him look very weak, to be honest. Not a nice thing to say, but true.
I'll be honest, lads, and I'm sorry, but and I said it the other day, Dave, but like for the first time in my I'm going to say 25 years supporting Ireland, it's the first time I've just felt completely flat and emotionless about it. Because I would struggle to get through an international game because I'd be shitting myself so much. Not because I'm lactose intolerant, but because it means so much. And now, even last night, lads, when the Weghorst goal went in, usually that would have been a cut to the heart. But now I did not that I
You were
didn't give a
expecting
shit.
it.
I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything. And that's hard. That is hard.
There you go. Turncoat. Bet you it was Portugal be crying.
9-0 against Luxembourg tonight, lads.
Jesus, and we lost 1-0. Graham Farrell. His interviews are more awkward than Martin O'Neill and Tony Donahue. Apparently, he's being media trained. Wonder who the hell is training him.
I
don't know, but
let's not go there.
Yeah.
John Foy. So was Jack. So was Jack. He really shut the media down, especially Eamon Dunphy. More relevant to him than a fly on the wall, to quote Big Jack. That was after Italia 90. Graham Farr, we were very unlucky under Mick in 98 and 2000, beaten by Belgium way after Carsley handled it in Lansdowne. And gave away a pen. Then Nilis and Penn scored 2 poor goals that we gave away. 2000, we almost qualified until Macedonia got a goal 95th minute. That handball was actually against Turkey in 99 for 2000. Just say that to you there, Graham. But yes, you are correct. Guns, people keep saying that he's unlucky, which he arguably is. But he's very lucky on the sense of having the vast majority media on his side, refusing to criticize him for 3 years. I don't think that's true. And I just want to actually nip that one in the bud, because you've had people, to be fair, like Dan McDonald.
Your mate, Philip Quinn.
Philip Quinn went after him. Paul Rowan went after him. Also, you've had a lot of members of the media, maybe not the written media. Brian Kerr went after him. I think Roddy Collins has been after him.
Damien Delaney.
Is that?
Damien Delaney.
Damien Delaney's been going after him. McAteer went after him. Ian Hart went after him. Richard Dunn's going after him. So, you know, there has been quite balance. So a lot of guys have done a hatchet job on him because they were loyal to Mick. So, you know, I mean, Mick was on co-commentary for his first game against Bulgaria, so it has been quite bad. I think people don't look at it that way. Anyway, Cormac Murray, 2 qualifying campaigns is a fair crack for any manager at international level. Most genuine supporters wanted it to work, but sadly it's fizzled out. Certain sections of media went overboard, hyping Kenny from long way out and slaughtering Mick, building ridiculous expectation levels. And he probably didn't help that himself when he said we had one of the best, what was it, back fours and top 10 in Europe. Or Donnell McQuillan, will it take a bad result to Greece before Kenny will go? I don't know. I mean, I think it's already in motion, to be honest with you. Dean O'Reilly, lads, it seems to be a common thing with fans of having high notions of what the team should be capable of achieving. Yes, Kenny has fallen short in some aspects, but the fact that you're talking like we should be able to put it up to the Dutch and the French, and how disappointed it is not getting anything out of the game, on what planet are you on? I presume
we never said anything about the French. We very much said that we never expected to beat the French, and we were set up well against the French, to be fair. That Dutch team last night, lads, were very poor, and there was a result there. And a good manager would exploit the space that there was. We were at the game, we were watching it. They would have exploited the space that was there. They would have gotten the substitutions right. They would have gotten the substitutions timed right as well. So, no, we never said anything about the French. Yeah. We knew we weren't going to beat the French, but at the same time, lads, we're not so bad that we're getting thumped by teams. We're not losing 6-7-0 to the Dutch and the French. We're not far off, but the reason the reason that we aren't getting the results is because of, you know, simple little things. But no, we never said anything about beating the French. We never.
No, but I think you can't just say like, oh, well, in what world? Because like you look at other teams in groups, and these teams do have an off night, and that's what we've got to capitalise on.
Albania
Scotland have had their big victories over France over the years. We beat Germany, you know, in a. And I know Martin O'Neill spoke about that today where we beat Germany. I mean, you look at that was massively lucky. You know, it was a long ball.
I think Albania beat Poland last night. Just another example.
Yeah,
There's so many shocks happening around international football at the moment. Look at Macedonia drawing with Italy last week, and they beat Italy in the World Cup playoffs. So there's more shocks happening in international football now than there ever has been. So of course, we've every right to be ambitious as fans.
Yeah.
Realistic, but also ambitious.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole idea, isn't it? Like that's the beauty of football. Arguably, anything could beat anybody.
What's the point of going?
Graham Farrell, it is a system. I watched a lot of our youth games. We qualified for a lot of terms lately at youth level. Problem is, though, Delaney has let us go far behind. We're sprinting to catch up. And those before him as well, to be fair. Dave McGuinness, we need a manager who can get the best out of the players consistently. McCarthy got players like Cunningham, Breen, Carsley playing at the peak. Trevor Tony got the best out of Irish players like St. Ledger, Whelan, Lawrence, and Delaney, and kept Keane scoring regularly. Stoneham got Liam Miller going when he did under Kerr. Martin O'Neill had a very, very ordinary squad, got the best out of certain players like Andy Keogh, Kevin Hunt, Steve Gwynn, and got us to tournaments.
Spot on, David, yeah.
David continues, Martin O'Neill mixed recent squads were limited, also not full of world-class players. You don't need a team of Premiership, Championship League players to beat Armenia, Greece, or Azerbaijan, Malta, Norway, Latvia, etc. Please,
well, Norway now is a stretch.
Well, they didn't have Haaland, to be fair, because it was an unsanctioned friendly. So Man City said, "You're not going to that game because if we get zero compensation, you get injured, pal." We don't have the players argument I keep seeing online. Look at our under 21s with plenty of players. I was at Turkey match, excellent. And we've never said that, David. We've never ever said that on this. We do have the players to do better. We do have the players to do better, and we've said that from day one.
I just want to talk about one of our players for a minute, right? I just want to talk about Jason Knight. I think he's been one of our best players under Stephen Kenny. I can remember 3 matches where he's now been man of the match, as he was last night. He was, I think, in Luxembourg, I think away, because or he had such a good game. Stephen Kenny was pushing him forward to kind of get the plaudits to the fans, and I think he got it, didn't he, as right wing back? Was it against Gibraltar?
Yeah, Gibraltar.
Yeah. But he's just a mystery. Like, Kenny doesn't know what to do with him. I think he actually got dropped for one game under Kenny, because Kenny didn't. But he's obviously a very, very important player for us. But we decided not to play him in one of these games. I'll look back at it and see which one it was. But he's a player who
he plays small ball.
He does play ahead of. He plays for Ireland a level above. He plays very well for his club, doesn't he, Nick? We know that.
Yeah,
but we think he should be at a better side. Yeah, but he is very, very good for us.
Part of the issue with that is even when he was at Derby, he didn't really nail down a position. He's playing as a number 10 now for Bristol. That's where he should be playing for us.
I was having a conversation with my mate Kenny, not Stephen Kenny, my mate Kenny McCoy. Hope if you're watching me, hope you're well. It's great to see you lads yesterday.
Saw him last night,
in the pub. Yeah, he said you fucking blanked them. He was on the phone. He was to John Delaney, and he just like kind of waved him off. Yeah, they told me that. I was like, oh, fucking you, Martin, fella. Dave was very offended, by the way. I'm not talking about myself in third person, by the way. It's my mate, Dave. Hope you're all watching that.
Sorry, lads.
No, he's not sorry. He's a wanker.
Fucking listening to 100 voice notes a day from Dave.
That fucking wasn't. Don't you blame me, pal. Not this one.
Or
anyway.
I was probably thinking, they're going to ask me, is Dave feeling better? And they're going to get him some cough medicine or something.
I only should have, actually. I was on the Lemsip tablets. They did fucking nothing.
Look, they said, we've always known Dave's a sick man. I don't know what they meant.
I am very sick. Cool. I think the young lads say cool. But anyway, going about Jason Knight, and Kenny McCoy made a great point. He says he is going to have the same curse. We were talking about it last night. He's going to be like John O'Shea. He's not going to be able to nail down just one position and become great in that position because he can play in an array of positions. He's going to be one of these guys who's going to be arsed about by his manager. Oh, we need someone to fill in right back or left back, whatever. I fear for him happened to John O'Shea. Mark Lawrence, to be fair, was a rare exception because he played in a one of the best sides in the world at the time, Liverpool, and he was great in every position. So it can happen, but I do fear for Jason Knight in that. And he was phenomenal. He showed Cullen, and he showed Brown. To be fair, had a decent.
I thought Brown were good last night. To be fair,
but Cullen. But Cullen was, I mean, what was he doing? He like karate kicked the ball at somebody. He's too slow. He's too slow on the ball, Cullen. Just saying. Right. John, back to the comments, lads. We need to lash through these. We got loads. John Foy, that's true. Kenny blooded players. Yes, he did. Dave McGuinness again. Kenny's not getting the best out of these players. Those that are playing far, far better for the clubs. Well, Gabazuna did chip 5 for Southampton. Just saying, David. If the club managers can get them to a certain threshold of ability, consistency, and they fall backwards and don't reach that threshold with Ireland when they reach our camps and go onto the pitch, then the question begs, why aren't they performing? David, a lot coming from David here. It's not like Ferguson bangs and goals for Ireland for fun. He's still a whip. Manning was player of the season for Swansea last season. Josh Cullen was superb for Burnley in recent games, but very poor for us. Why is that? Malumbi, the same. Stevens has been brilliant for Stoke this year, but awful for us. McGuinness continues. Duff is getting the best out of very limited resources at Shelbourne compared to Rovers, Dundalk, and Derry, who are far better finance clubs. Chris Hughton was able to get Newcastle, Norwich, Brighton, and Birmingham promoted out of the toughest division in football and no money. because he got the very best out of players. And then we finish up. A better manager will get more out of them. It's the manager's job to get the best out of players. You don't get a free pass on this as a manager, as many fans are giving him. No, and we've agreed with that. Chris Hughton, though, not for me. Not for me. People want him. No, trust me, it would be terrible to watch. Love him as a player. But no, Adam T, a bad result at Greece has already happened. That was the final nail in the coffin. It did start all of this. James, I do think people only gave Stephen Kenny far more time because he was a League of Ireland manager. I feel if he was a non-League of Ireland coach, he would have gone. I think there's a bit of truth to that, James, to be fair. I think from the fans, a lot of the League of Ireland fans really love their Stephen Kenny. They love the underdog, don't they? They're very protective about the League of Ireland. You know, they don't really want other people involved in it. They've given him a lot more time than they would probably another manager. But I think the media, as I said, has been very balanced because you've had the hatchet jobs, which has mostly been spoken media or visual media, and you've had most of the writers given the other side of it as well. So I think it's actually been very balanced on the whole. Cormac Murray, Martin O'Neill deserves credit for year 2016. Some big results, but he's come across savage, bitter. He went to Forest after with Keane, and they were a disaster. Keane did some huge damage in the end. Well said, Cormac. Just read that bit again. Keane did some huge damage in the end, Martin. Graham Farrell, Martin O'Neill has no right to be whinging. There's a reason him and that Keane dickhead can't get a job in Ireland since football. Good man, Graham. Good man. Reese Masterson, do you think we should go for a League of Ireland manager like Stephen Bradley, Damien Duff, or should we do all we can for Lee Carsley? Not Bradley for me, to be honest with you. Duff would have to see. Duff works because he's an Ireland legend. He's got the respect. He also shows, he was at Celtic. He was highly regarded as a coach, and you look what he's doing to Shelbourne. He's doing brilliantly. Let's be honest with it, But I don't think he will work with the FAI, especially what's happened with Vera Pauw. Yet again, not saying they're right, not saying, but we need to hear more about that before we talk about that, because that will all come out, I'm sure. But probably the way they handle that is like, not for me. And he did walk out on the FAI, to be fair. Darrell O'Connor, I remember that 2018 match versus North. Holy God, it was absolutely dreadful in terms of mood and atmosphere. Irish football was crying out for change, and the majority of our support wanted Kenny. And he got him a year later. Graham Farrell, O'Neill has no right to be winning. Two Muppets, him and Keane. No wonder they haven't had or got anywhere near a job since they flopped at Forest. James says, I don't think Kenny's high quality coach. He was only a manager in semi-pro league, i.e. League of Ireland. FAI need to fund the League of Ireland proper, get top quality academies like rugby provinces have. I mean, it goes to show, lads, doesn't it, that we've no real quality man. We've no Irish managers coming through really at the moment, have we? We've got a couple of lads at Ipswich, haven't we? That's about it. Greg Foley, you mentioned Covermans and Doctor. Any idea how many players from the era have actually come through to play senior?
Huge amount. Bazunu, as far as I know, like if you go through the starting 11 last night, I think nearly all of them. The only ones that probably didn't would be the likes of Shane Duffy. Actually, no, Shane Duffy would have been with the 21s under Coovermans. James McLean didn't play underage for Ireland at all. I'm trying to think who else. The likes of Will Keane, any of the lads who declared, but a lot of that kind of 1996 to 2002 kind of age bracket, all would have been either under Coovermans or Doctor. Actually, some of the older lads would have been under Coovermans because 2008 he came in. So yeah, nearly all of them. And the key thing is, so many of them played at underage tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. See, Nick is our man. He knows all that domestic stuff.
And the in-house spoofer.
Yeah, we're the outhouse spoofer, literally. Martin and I, we don't know shit. We don't live there. We just read it. We used to get it off the ball before they started charging. Now we're fucked.
Now off the ball, get off us.
Just a reminder that we're free.
Still. We are free. Obviously, we couldn't charge for this. Do you know what though? Say what you want. At least we're the most honest podcast out there, and we let you have your say. And it's proper debate, and it's passionate debate. It's not professional.
I'm just conscious of time and stuff, but we do knock the FAI for some things. But I mean, they do get some things right, don't they, Dave? As you can see at the camera there.
I wouldn't say they got that right.
Look at that. Next time I see you, Martin, bring a pen. I'll sign it for you. I'll bring a sharp.
Lovely article there, Dave. I thought the program was interesting. Dave, your article was fantastic, of course. But I noticed in the this president's message, and you got the CEO's message, And they talk about the wonderful experience being down at the World Cup. Not a mention of Vera. So that's going to be quite interesting. And they do obviously put an advert in for the game, and they talk about what a summer in this bit, and not even a mention of Vera. So I think that's going to be very interesting to watch going forward. But yeah,
we'll hold fire on that because we need to see what's come out here. This is going to take a while. See, here's the thing, right? I'm not I'll defend the FAI a bit. Look, there's lots of stuff happens here that they can't talk about publicly, and there's due process. And then on the outside looking in, you're looking at it going, excuse me, you're looking at it going, why aren't they saying anything? That's because they can't. And certain processes or whatever, and then certain things you find out later on. So we're going to hold off on the whole Vera Pauw thing because that all seems very, very strange, and I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash, and we'll be able to have a proper conversation about it further down the line, and that'd be very interesting. Darrell O'Connor, while the manager we get doesn't necessarily have to be Irish, I read the GM article. Good man, on Irish managers, great points made. Who's that?
It was Bills, I think.
Bill, good man, Bill. Real lack of them across the water, which really limits our scope. Sorry, that was an M&M. Well, at least I used the cup. I got these in Paris, actually. They're quite tasty.
Jesus, Dave.
Well, I'm giving a bit of, you don't get this sort of stuff
on off the ball. You wouldn't fucking pay for it on off the ball to hear you talking about your peanut allergies.
Well, they wouldn't have M&Ms. They probably have caviar and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're sponsored by like William Hill, and they have like events and stuff, and they're still charging for sponsorship, or they're still charging for subscriptions. Anyway, Danny Lofty. By the way, best luck to them. Actually, whenever I spoke to any of the off the ball lads, they ignore me very well. So I'm just joking. No,
I might get media trained for them to be able to ignore you.
No, they're all right. I mean, look, we got to do what you got to do, haven't they? That's their bread and butter. And honestly, best luck to them. Best luck to them. Danny Losty, defensively, we're fine, and up front, we're okay as well. Simply no midfielders of any quality. And that's the thing, isn't it? That's if you know midfield, you can't do anything. You need midfield. Liverpool proved that last season. You need midfield. That's where the game's won a lot.
I mean, we have a developing midfielder, don't we? Like cousin Will hasn't really had many caps yet, but hopefully. No. And again, I'd say the weirdness of the positioning last night. Cousin Will's only developed into this kind of holding midfielder kind of thing. He was very deep last night. Southampton have been doing that with him this year. And now it's like, we'll put him in there. It's kind of by luck. It wasn't by Stephen Kenny's design that he was going to play him in there. And he wasn't brilliant when he came on last night, of course. But, I think as a family member, I'd like him to do well.
No, I mean, he will. He will. And he's come back from an injury as well, hasn't he? So, John Foy compliments Nick on knowing his stuff. Yes, he does. We have him, he serves his purpose.
He's going to go for the Portuguese youth team in a minute as well.
Jesus, yeah. I'm about to jump ship to the burgundy and green machine. So get the most out of me while you can, lads.
Jesus. James, maybe we can take note from rugby. Maybe ask RFU how do you build success in terms of youth development and that. I'm an Irish rugby fan. Remember the 1990s rugby? Irish rugby was horrible. Now we were great. Good old Cork Constitution and all that jazz. Yeah, remember it was dreadful in the Five Nations.
Well, school system is certainly a way to develop things. And as someone involved in the football school system in this country, I can tell you, and if any of them are listening, I have no problem saying this, they're a fucking disgrace. They're a fucking disgrace, the schools committee in the FAI. Absolute amateurs. And you could have a competition. I think I said to you the other day, Dave, you could have a competition where there's 60 teams and about fucking 40 of them will get kicked out because they didn't put a fodder over a name or, because they didn't play a game at 12:15 when the game should have been at 12. Nonsense. And if you look at the schools rugby, again, two different sports, there is a certain dynamic of school, there is a certain organization and ethos in those schools. But, if you had a successful school systems, if you had funding for coaching to go into schools and give a bit back there, you could have a very, very, look at the States as well, look at the high school systems.
Yeah.
New
Zealand with the rugby.
Exactly. And
forced at gunpoint to play rugby.
And the other thing with New Zealand is a lot of the time before they play rugby, a lot of them play football beforehand, to help build them up. And then they go into weight categories and things like that. So if you got the school systems right here, we could be onto a winner. However, The school system is run by fucking amateurs and arseholes, to be completely honest. Having dealt with them for so many years, and I'm only saying that because they're doing the kids out of games, and it's fucking disgraceful. And if anyone is listening from the FAI Schools Committee, like I'm not, no, Dave, it's not even a funny thing, but like I implore them to actually to make a change and to actually address it, because as a coach within the school system, it's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing, and that's a massive reason why there's such contrasting views between the football and the rugby with the school system in this country. And fair play to the clubs, by the way. Fair play to the likes of Kevin's. Fair play to the likes of Belvedere. They're doing unbelievable work. You've unbelievable volunteers, very committed coaches. That is one of the good sides of the FAI. But the schools committee, which should be pumping out players, They have failed young footballers and young coaches in this country.
No, I just thought you were well said, by the way.
Shame on them.
Jesus.
Seriously.
That's what you really think, Nick.
Yeah.
No, I thought you were going to go with another thing in the FAI. I thought you were going to like start swearing at them or whatever, but good thing you didn't. No. I agree. Well said. Graham Farrell, that's what Dunphy said in his column, and I agree. We lack creativity since probably Houlihan. Don't remember any decent centre midfield that we've had that wants to get on the ball and create stuff. Well, we have Jack Bourne, but don't tell James McLean that. No, he is right. We don't have a player like that. Robbie Brady, too injury prone. We don't have anybody who can. Even Robbie Brady actually wasn't that sort of player, was he? Just somebody who could just sit behind the front two and just do something like a dink or a little slide pass. Like a little through ball, kind of out of nowhere, like a little flick that Houlihan could do. We just haven't had anyone since then. Jack Bourne could do that to a degree, but obviously he had his run in the team and it kind of fizzled out a bit. And has moved to Cyprus. Didn't work out.
There's only certain games where you need those players. It's when they come with a very defensive line and you've got to open them up, like Gibraltar will be. Against France, you don't need that kind of player. We're not crying out for it too much. It's in those tight games against the lower ranked nations where we've always struggled to get results. Yeah. And that, again, has been the thing that Stephen Kenny's not had. That's a problem position for him. And also the left has massively been a problem position for him as well.
Fair. Greg Foley on YouTube. The FAI are still a mess. I'll give you an example. FAI Centre of Excellence players, best of the best, asked to give back full training kit at end of season. That is socks and all. That's where we're at in 2023.
That's shocking. I mean, it's not so far. It's not so way back that there was warehouses of gear being taken over. What now or something? I don't know. I won't go there.
That's all on eBay now. Anyway,
one solicitor letter at a time. Or an Elbreeze, is it? No. Darrell O'Connor, not having go at O'Neill, but he constantly put the players down, not making them, and saying they're low quality while his systems having bust ups with them. Exactly.
Same as Trapattoni.
Yeah, and you're Declan Rice, and you're like, why do I want to play for them? Why is this man with a beard like shouting at these lads with the same accent as me? Anyway, it's true though, isn't it? You look at it and go, huh? Darrell O'Connor, one of my favorite things about Kenny was he always bigged him. He did, and actually to the detriment of Stephen Kenny.
He does. You mean he does? He's still doing it.
He does. He is.
He's still in the job.
Yeah, and he still bigs him up. To be fair, and that's why he love him, and he do love him. And and I'll say it again. I said it last night. I said it looks like they weren't playing for him. I got that wrong. I saw they were playing for him last night. They knew what was on the line last night, and they gave everything they had. It just wasn't enough, was it? And you have to take into the fact, obviously, the game in Paris as well would have been absolutely brutal as well. Absolutely brutal on that team, because that was they ran and ran and ran. They were chasing shadows all night in the Parc des Princes, and that I got heat stroke. Although to be fair, I'll probably get heat stroke from this lamp in a second. Where am I going? Darrell O'Connor. Players all seem to love him. Interesting though. McLean saying he needs to reflect and for a change. Not sure if he means himself or management. I think he probably means himself, to be fair. Danny Lusty, Conley causing Van Dijon problems. Seriously?
Van Dijk, I think he means, What?
Yeah, Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Conley?
I had said if Conley could have ran him,
Tell you what,
Danny Martin.
He found it hard to cope with Ogbene, who is a very limited player, so you never know.
They turned
the nose up on it.
There was one in the box, And I was watching a replay, and and he had a Benny shirt, and he was ripping it off him. Benny was doing the same thing. It happens all the time. You know the way every year they say we're going to stamp this out, and you never do. And he was reefing the shirt off like Benny in the box. One of these days we'll get it. Brian Murphy, sadly, Kenny out of his depth. James, like 1990s rugby from Ireland was really poor. We could barely win games or anything. Now best team in the world because the grassroots of the game is healthy, unlike football, which FAI fail in. And the thing is, James, they need £1 billion. And the FAI were right to do that, by the way. And that's not an indictment on the current FAI, to be fair. They went to the government and said, we need £1 billion. And they're right to do it. They were absolutely right to do it. That is 30 plus years of neglect. Probably longer than that. But, when the money came in with the Charlton era, pure neglect. We're 30 years behind. John Foy, I think Ronnie Whelan, by what he said about Duffy for height and a long ball. He said they should mix it up, and I think that's what he meant. So have some of that, Martin. Leave my Ronnie alone. I was looking at him there from the commentary last night. I was like, Ronnie. Love Ronnie. Evan Ganley, team wasn't booed in 114, 115 lower south stand. So get your facts right, lads. Graham Farrell, I was a winger as well, and my dad always said to me when he watched me games, he was running his own team. Once you get a half yard on the fullback, fire it in. If the centre forward isn't there and that's not your fault, you've done your job. And that's what I always did. I hate when wingers try to beat defenders 4 times. McGeady used to drive me mad. Beat his fullback 4 times. That's true, isn't it? You fire it in. If there's no one in there, you fire it in low. It might go in. Might hit off one of the defenders or go out for a corner. You've done your job. I agree there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Nick, you mentioned earlier about that, and it's Van Nistelrooy's frustration with Ronaldo when he first came to Man United. Exactly that. He'd make runs and he said, "What is going on?"
Yeah, stemming the play. Stemming the play and allowing the defense to get set.
That's what Liverpool do. I know I keep going on about Liverpool, but they, in terms of the wing back system, and they fire it in. They just fire them in at will, don't they? Alexander Arnold and Andy Johnson. They just not Andy Johnson. Robertson. They just fire the balls in, and you have somebody there because they know what to do. It's incredible. Dave McGuinness. There were scatterings of boos, but nothing major. Yeah, fair enough. And it could be just at the result, or it could be at the ref. Darryl, what?
Oh, just
nothing there.
What? What's going on?
Nothing. Man, we're tight in time.
Yeah,
There's more important things.
Oh,
well, actually, there's not. But look, we'll ignore it.
Yeah, Darryl O'Connor. Jesus, is that why the picture's blurry in the background, Nick? Is that gas? Is it? Is that
possibly? Yeah, possibly.
Darryl O'Connor.
I do live very close to Sellafield.
Yeah, we might have an accident tonight. Darryl O'Connor stayed a clap to the team, but Kenny didn't really move out of the halfway line because whereas he'd normally come close to his sport, he's probably worried he's going to get a little bit of abuse at him, to be fair. Archduke 8199. That throw scenario, what Martin mentioned, was absolutely bizarre. The crowd in the East Upper Stand went mental. Yeah, between McGrath and as well, it was just
Manning.
Oh, that was just epitomised.
I actually do wonder what Ronnie thought that. When you have a player of his caliber looking at that going, and also the players he played with, you'd never see like the Ireland teams he played with doing that. He'd be like, basic. Michael Cooney, let him see out the rest of the campaign before making any change. What good does sacking Kenny now do when we can't qualify? Unless you got somebody better lined up, then yeah, I go with you. Don't. This is not something to rush and panic over. John Foy, no way, not keen. He will go to war with the players. Graham Farrell again, no chance Carsey's managing Ireland. He won the under-21s. Keen, I'd rather eat shite. Watch him manage us. Might as well get Stephen Reid. Stephen Reid wouldn't be, well, I don't know actually. I mean, he's had his troubles, or even Andy Reid, who's a decent coach at Forest Youth Club. Maybe Andy not Reid's management, but could be involved in the next setup. He's an excellent coach, Andy Reid. Dave McGuinness, it'll be a salary of £1 million to get Carsley, and as soon as a decent club comes knocking, I see him finding it hard to resist. English football holds him in high regard, and lots of clubs have him on their future radar. He's not long-term option to continue this project. You know how you get around that? No, it's an excellent point, but you know how you get around that? You go down, yet again, the Liverpool route. You have your manager, and then you have the coaches. And when he goes, one of the coaches takes over. And then you rotate, and then you get someone else in, and you rotate, because and you have continuity, and you all play the same system. That's what Liverpool used to do. Start with Paisley. Sorry, start with
Jeez, you're on fire with your Liverpool stuff tonight.
I am, aren't I? Yeah, I can't remember your man's name, the Scottish guy.
Shankly.
Bill Shankly. Sorry, Jesus, total brain fart. Bill Shankly started. Bob Paisley's right-hand man went in. Joe Fagan, his right-hand man, went in. And then Kenny Dalglish went in. Then Souness came in and ruined the fucking thing. There you go. But it does work. That's what I would do. Noel O'Donovan. I've seen Harvey Renard being suggested on Twitter. I think that would be a really interesting and exciting appointment, so it won't happen.
That is brilliant. What an end.
Good
Fantastic.
man. Colin McSubney. Do we have the cash for Carsley? I don't think Keane would get near the interview stages. He could destroy lads. I think Lennon and Duff would be an option. I don't think Lennon, to be honest with you. There was a time, maybe, but Duke Clancy, not a hope Keane. The lads will start dropping out of the squad. Probably would, yeah. David McGinnis, the sponsor issue is huge. Fans don't realise what a huge issue is. That is huge. That is a massive, massive cash cow. That's the main cash cow other than match tickets for the association. John Fine, no, not keen. Forget that. Too much of a circus with him. Leave as a pundit, not Stan either. Graham Farrell, Martin, give him the Greece game. Jesus, man. Jesus, Martin. Stop annoying everybody. Dave McGuinness, well said. A new manager is imminent. She needs these games. That's what you said earlier on, Nick, wasn't it? Get rid of them and
there's no like it's like we're gone. We are gone, and you can either have Stephen Kenny gets whatever 3 points against Gibraltar, could win against Greece, and then he's gone, or you can give a new manager 3 competitive games to get experience. 3 competitive games where young players can be blooded in a competitive environment, and then they'll have a couple of friendlies leading into the next campaign. So I think it makes perfect sense to give them those fixtures.
Fair. If they have somebody. Lined up.
They won't. It'll be Stephen Kenny.
Mark Hatchett. Dave McGuinness, if he was available, I would agree best man for the job. This is Chris Hughton, but he signed a 2-year extension to sign Ghana. Truth is, we should have kept Mick McCarthy on another man who's experienced of dealing with limited player pool. Stephen Kenny has an experience of managing, of coaching in any league outside League of Ireland. His spell at Dunfermline proved that he was sacked. Graham Farrell, or the fact that Lennon is ginger. So Graham Farrell. What you got against gingers? Cormac Murray, Hansi Flick would be sensational. Would it be worth breaking the bank for him?
They can't break the bank for any manager. They've got no money. This is a massive thing. Like David said there. One of the things as well on Chris Hughton is I was speaking to someone who knows him very well yesterday, and I know he's with Ghana. Technically, he's like a kind of director of football there, but he is now doing the kind of match day management as well. But it's a very loose contract, that is what I understand, and that let's just say it's Ghana, and for different reasons, he doesn't get regular payments for some reason. Whatever it is, it's not like you're not getting paid all the time there and stuff. It's very, very loose arrangement. I think it was something he wanted to kind of do with his family links to Ghana. So he could be enticed back, and I don't think it'd break the bank. But it could be like it's not the worst kind of situation. I think that scenario that I could see actually happen, because he's a very safe set of hands, wouldn't he, with experience. I know it might not be great to watch, but I think he comes with experience, doesn't he? And Premier League experience, and I think been involved in the international setup, knows how that works. It would be what coaches come with him.
20 years ago.
That's time with it. Here are the coaches. Again, if you someone like Stephen Reek, if you someone like Stephen Reek coming in there, maybe it's a possibility. And by the way, lads, Stephen Reek was part of Steve Clark's backroom team.
That's right. Yeah. And he left. Barry Don, lads,
better.
We're going to crack. We need to crack through these, lads. We need to finish up next few minutes. Barry Doyle, lads, notice when Ida scored, the RT cameras didn't once show Kenny and the management team celebrate. They flicked about 10 times elsewhere. Obviously, agenda. Probably more confidence into that. Yeah. Dave McGuinness, spot on. Agreed. Good comments here. I'm in the Newton camp. I've been in the camp since Trapp went. I think he'd leave for the Irish job, as you said, Martin. And I say he has an out in the contract for certain roles. I may be wrong, but I say he does and he wants the Irish job. But I'm sure he wants the Irish job because, let's be honest. Look, he went for the Ghana job, but would he have gone for that if he had Premier League interest or Championship interest? No. And the last Championship club he managed was Nottingham Forest, who we left at bottom of the table, or near the bottom of the table, who are now in the Premier League. Going to Steve Cooper doing really, really well. No. Chris Hughton, not for me. The football will be absolutely dire. Barry Doyle made a good comments from the Green Machine to train up. James Agnew, same man. Good man, James. I saw him on the ground as well, actually came up to me. Good man, James. He is a lovely man. Graham Farrell, yes, but the FEI lease it. That's to do with the
Lansdowne.
John Foy, the pun. What is the pun? What are we talking about? Reece Masterson. I'm glad Ireland finally have a player like Evan Ferguson. We've been crying out for a player like him for ages. So he'd be the next £150 million striker for the Prem, hopefully. Graham Farrell, the FA would want to review the price as well, though. €50 for tickets to watch just get whipped. It's a joke. Well,
120 premium level yesterday. That was face value because they sold them as the receipt. They sold them as the duo package, if you remember. They're doing the same now for the Greece ticket coming up with Greece and New Zealand. So they're going to struggle.
Alan Ganley, Potter, the ideal man. He's good at managing mediocre players to lynch above their weight, punch above their weight. Imagine that. Graham Farrell might as well get Raphael from the Turtles instead of Rafael Benitez. Willie Motley, it's definitely Damien Duff. Deal is already done. Oh, confident. Brian Murphy, they will need to go for a seasoned manager. Jimmy Shell, lads, it was going to be a change with the senior team. John Barry or the new manager of Ipswich.
Kieran McKenna.
Graham Farrell, Michael Carrick could be out on his arse sooner. Burr wouldn't be surprised if he gets linked. I'm sure everyone will get linked. This is an exciting project. Don't mistake that. Then again, as important as the plan is, I can see it being discarded in lieu of box office marquee appointment. Data track sponsor and puts bums on seats. We are 4 odd years without a sponsor. It's unsustainable. I agree, by the way, David. I do agree. The plan is important. That's what I would go with, but that's why I see Roy Keane getting it. Evan Ganley, our crossing last night was horrific. Graham playing Duffy over O'Shea cost him and us the win last night. Yes, it did. Relying on senior players. Graham heard Roy Keane and Barry Murphy this morning being mentioned for the Ireland job. Graham Farrell, don't think they sacked Poe. Didn't renew a contract of why paying off. Well, okay, yeah, but didn't. They apparently agreed to give her a contract and then took it away, according to Vera Poe. Colin Carr, great point. Felt nothing when Holland scored. Shocking thing to say, but true. So there you go, Martin. You and Colic are soulless demons. Graham Farrell. Oh, yeah, wrong game. Sorry, Dave. You should be Graham. We were talking later on about the handball against Turkey. Sebastian Knowlton. Perhaps it's time for Joe effing Kinnear. I'd love that. Maybe 20 years ago. Yeah, but sadly, he is actually suffering with dementia. And, our best wishes to Joe Kinnear. He was a cracking manager in his day. Graham, that Dutch team were there for the taking. Everyone in Aviva felt it last night. Yep, spot on, Graham. Can't disagree. Graham Farrell, Ogbenny, if he had an end product, had Van Dijk all over the gaff. He was worried with his pace. But the problem was he took too much out of it. He did. Too many touches, took it right out of the ball. John Foy, Kenny and the team might surprise us with Greece and hammer them. Where we go from there? No. If to make the playoffs, do you think if we reach a playoff and win, would it the FAI keep him on based on the campaign? I think it wouldn't really matter as long as he got us there. But that won't happen because Albania beat Poland in the group last night. So that means
regardless, they can't. Like he's had ample opportunities. It's the inconsistencies. We could go and beat Holland in Amsterdam, and then we could go and draw 0-0 with Gibraltar. It's the inconsistencies that have killed Kenny.
It's a very convoluted playoff process as well. It's a kind of quarterfinal, semi-final kind of thing, and we'd be the team that anyone would want to get.
Yep. I read that. Yeah, absolutely. David Gibbs referred to the online argument. Don't have the players, etc. Sorry for confusion. I know your position. To be fair, no. I get that, David. I get that. I'm just clarifying that we haven't said that, but no, I totally get that. Stephen Hackett, to progress, we can't keep picking League 1, League 2 players and managers that have no records. Not one suitable manager in League of Ireland that's ready for the job. Fair, even with Duff, I wouldn't be against it, but maybe a bit too soon for him. David Keegan, good man, David. How are you doing? Kenny in v Kenny out fans. It's like the Civil War all over again.
It's all good debate, though. It's all good debate. Even stuff on Twitter. It is now. Some of the stuff is fucking nonsense, but for the most part, it is good debate.
Yeah. Graham Farrell. Small bun overnight was away to Greece. He was off that night. He did set up the Collins goal, but he other than that, he was terrible. Bless him. Knight needs to be playing in a more advanced role. He always wants to get on the ball. So brave and fearless, and he's so fast. Frank Gow wants Roy Keane in charge. Says he's the best choice. Dave McGuinness, class t-shirt, by the way, Dave. What a tour that was. As Ervin mentioned. Yes, Zeropa. Class. Love that. Zoo TV. And Zoomerang.
Right, anyway, can we just 146 on the sweepstake? Dave's just mentioned you too.
I did mention you too, Dave. Well, yeah, that David did, not me. David Keegan is Carlsey resume solely England on 21s. Birmingham City manager. We had a couple of stints. Coventry, Birmingham City manager, but he was a very defensive coach. Went off, relearned, re-educated himself, and then basically because he saw Barcelona play one day and went, I want to play like that. And then he went to Man City, who's their under 18s coach or under 21s coach, and I think he did very well regarded. And that's why now with the young under 21s he plays a very progressive game because of his coaching at Man City. His education. There you go. Whip, work in progress. Slightly meant a whip, like when you're on about Evan Ferguson or Dave McGuinness. Slightly meant like he's only a whip. Ooh. Yeah. Jonathan Hill flying in for Thursday press conference in Abbottstown, according to Graham.
Is that in advance of the women's squad announcement? Perhaps could be. We don't know.
Sponsor?
Not Jonathan.
Maybe Hill. If they're gonna get rid of, if they're gonna get rid of, it will be this week. It's got to be because otherwise you got the lead into the women's game. So
if it's not this week, it'll be he'll survive. Oh God. This is all exciting. We're going to find out next few days. And by the way, if it does happen, we will have content through the week.
And 10 seconds on this, lads. But the FAI did say if he didn't get 2 points out of these games, he will be gone. So, so again, a tax-funded association being transparent or not being transparent. So that's a big factor as well. Would they go against that?
Exactly. No, good point. Barry Murphy, Roy Keane's box office. Imagine that atmosphere if he came in. The first game would be amazing, and we'd probably win like 4-0, and then it would just probably. Although I could be wrong, and if he came in and made it successful, by the way, I'd be delighted. I honestly would. BB42, we need to pressure Bradcat and Co to invest in League of Ireland stadiums and facilities 100%. But the thing is,
can't pressure them for basic things. So
no,
hold their breath.
They don't care. They don't care. James Kenny is product of FAI system that fails his own people. Doesn't give them that top skills and abilities like RFU. Like there needs to be support for guys like Kenny. Give him top skills and support. Yep, the coaching structure needs to improve. I think it is getting better. Nick, you know more about that than me, but you need to give these guys a chance.
The FAI coaching education is fantastic. Like there's really good stuff there, but there you go. Yeah, so I don't know if Kenny was necessarily of that same era of the stuff that's going on now. But
before that,
but the rugby stuff is a different level. It's outrageous. Like I've coaching badges in rugby and football. The rugby stuff is outrageous. It's one of the best in the world. But the FAI stuff is really cutting edge at the moment. There's people coming from the UK to do it as well. Yeah, at elite level.
And you actually see people coming over like from different countries to the FAI to do the coaching badges. So you just see John Foy on his podcast. You forgot to mention the best podcast. Thanks, guys. Good man, John. Give it a fiver layer. Paul McGlinchey, sorry, your article got a mention on the BBC's coverage of the game last night. Whose article was that, Paul? Kevin was that my article?
I think it's
we have to talk about that, lads. No, I'm just joking. Nice one. I hope that was the case. Kevin McGuinness, can't see Duff coming in. FAI aren't going to the League of Ireland. Again, Chris Hughton wouldn't be the worst. Passionate about the Irish team. Graham Farrell, always swear, Nick, they don't give a bollocks. Yeah. I'm sure there's something about
the skills committee, yeah.
There we go. James, also appreciate you guys take on many different opinions. It's proper discourse of different opinions. And that is very important, James. I'm glad you said that. And I think David McGuinness will actually tell you that as well, because we didn't get off to the best of starts. But, you can have your opinion. You can have your opinion on here. You don't have to agree, but we'll talk about it. And that's what it's about. It's all about discourse and conversation. So good man, James. Kieran Boyle, lads have been... good man, Kieran, over in sunny Florida. Lads have been driving all afternoon to get to Orlando for work. Is Kenny still around? Yes, he is. Back to long ball is needed. It's what we do best. What people think. It gets us results, always has, and it will. Launch the bastard ball in the box. Hashtag away to bollocks with Castori. Hashtag bring back Adidas. Dave McGuinness, Jack Byrne, and these past few games with a new gaffer or an interim and let him loose would be interesting. It would be. Barry Murphy, instead of spending all form. If he's in good enough form, and he's a good player, he's a very good player. Just don't tell James McLean. Barry Murphy,
political this one.
Instead of spending all this money on housing Ukrainians, I'd rather spend it on a new national manager. Oh, Jesus, Barry.
There's the views of are independent of some of our listeners and not necessarily Green Machine podcast.
Not our. Yeah, no. We don't share that one, Barry. But okay. Glenn Forbes, question about the FAI. Any insight to why Noel Quinn didn't stay with the FAI? From the impression I got from his statement at the time when he said he wouldn't continue, it sounded like there's still an element of Delaney cronyism still lingering. The reason I ask is if we want to fix soccer in Ireland, it needs to start with the FAI. Thanks so much for your great show, fellas. Thank you, Glenn.
There's always going to be an interim deal. Same with your buddy Noel Mooney. Same with them. So they're the right people to have in there. But I don't think probably wasn't the right time for them. They probably wanted to give it a few years before the shop was cleared out, I suppose.
Yeah, some of his proposals were quite amateur in a sense. The people he had involved with him, Noel Quinn. But
okay, there you go. Shitting all over the legends. There you go. James, schools could, in theory, be a funnel up to the under-17s, and so it would be great potential there if it was done right. James,
there's so many people with unbelievable ideas of how to restructure the systems, and they're not involved.
No,
simple as that. The wrong people are involved.
There you go. James, like up to League of Ireland clubs, like feeder schools to the Irish football team. Alan Brennan, Jack Byrne, for fuck's sakes, are you serious? That's the Dave McGuinness. Not us. He realised quickly, Dave McGuinness says, that Delaney's fiefdom runs far and wide like a cancer and will take years to weed them out. Parasites are still there everywhere. They're watching. James, so like all working together is what I pretty much meant. Get Lee Carsley says Alan Brennan. Irish Jedi, last night, tactically, we're excellent in the first half. A high press led by 22-year-old Adam Ida, Ogbenny and Jason Knight. All players Kenny has brought through and given caps, so he deserves credit. Credit, but not praise.
They would have been capped anyway, I think.
Trevor Sullivan, hi lads. Love to know your thoughts on who was the best manager we had since Jack. Be Mick.
Yeah.
Mick. Don't underestimate the job he did when he came in after Jack and the shoes he had to fill, the boots he had to fill, and he progressed and learned all. And we played good football, by the way. Forget about the 2019.
No King and Cologne.
Well, he said best, not greatest, to be fair. Irish Jedi, ability to play through pressure last night, particularly in the first half, was excellent. I thought Brown was a massive upgrade in Malumbi in terms of passing forward. He had a very good game, Brown. He did have a good game.
Brown is a better player than Malumbi. More dynamic.
Jesus, that is an endorsement, Nick.
Well, I don't necessarily.
I can't believe that. That's right. 154. You said something nice about Alan Brown.
I don't rate either of them, but Alan Brown is a more dynamic player than Jason Malumbi. He's more mobile.
I wasn't sure about Alan Brown's free kick. That was
wide.
Brown
was. I thought Brown was poor last night, but as I said, I think in terms of Malumbi, like Brown is going to offer more going forward than Malumbi. They're both poor players, but Brown does offer more marginally.
There you go. Right, let's move it on. Graham Farrell, Shankly, Dave, Christ, sorry, Graham, brain fart there. Glenn Forrest, maybe we just need a new chant in the Stance to Sport a team on. Let's try to team of Jenny from the block. Don't be jealous of the rocks that we got. We got Benny in the box.
Jesus.
Okay, Glenn. Who's the lad? Barry Murray. Who's the lad who works for the FAI and doesn't even live in Ireland? That's the guy who runs it.
Oh, it's Dave. You work for the FAI and you don't live in Ireland.
I don't run it though.
All right, okay.
It's no Elez, is it? Glenn Forbes. On about the old chance there. Irish Jedi, there's been a buzz and atmosphere around the Beaver in the Kenny area. The next appointment needs to maintain this. A Newton type appointment will send us back to a lack of general interest.
The atmosphere has been shite.
No, we will not hear that sort of dissidence on it. Yeah, well, no, the last couple of games has been, but to be fair, it was good before that. No, the shit in Athens. Michael Kenny's had 3 years never been competitive in any group we've been in. We struggle to win friendlies. Graham Farrell, John O'Shea believes a decent coach too. A lot of positive activity about him. Hope whoever comes in after Stephen keeps. I think they will. Cormac Murray, fair play lads. You have good knowledge of fairness. Very few other Irish football podcasts at similar level. Thank you very much, Cormac. Irish Jedi, saying a manager who's managed an elite European competition successfully in a shoestring budget is out of step because he's from our own league is not right. There is an element of truth to that. John Palmer, get Andrew Moran in the senior squad. Very talented, creative player. Wes Houlihan 2.0. Eventually. Stephen Hackett, Dennis Kirkin at Sunderland for left back. Dublin born, but England underage. Need the right people to talk to him. Excuse me. Dave McGuinness, press conference is confirmed. Wasn't Pima yesterday. Met a few coaches I know, and there's defo presser on Thursday. Okay, so Thursday, guys. Slaven Bilic recommends Irish Jedi. I think he's in Saudi, so good luck in trying to get him out of that one. Graham Farrell, we'd win 4-0 home to Oman again. And John Fight is very happy. We're coming to the end of it, lads. And we got Archduke 8199. Well done, lads. An enjoyable watch with some good points made. Well, I'm glad we were only on for what did we say, lads? We'll try and get a half an hour
Half
out
an
of
hour.
it. But you know what? That's what you guys at home do for us there. You keep us going, and we thank you so much. We're going to leave it there. Look, we will be back if there is any more, obviously, on the Kenny situation. We will try and, if we can, we'll do a live stream, we'll do a podcast, we'll do a solo, whatever, and we'll get our opinions out there, and we'll try and then eventually, ultimately, get your opinions on if there is any movement whatsoever. It's been a bit of a disappointing window. That's an understatement. It's been a disastrous window, and it's been very tiring. And lads, we're at a crossroads, aren't we? That's yeah, we're all just very, very down at the moment, as you can see there. They can't even bother answering me. We're going to leave it there, lads. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting us, guys. You at home have been wonderful. Thank you for your generosity and your comments and your interaction. Without you, we are nothing. So thank you very much. If you're watching in Ireland, if you're watching in the UK, if you're watching in America, have a great night and safe home. God bless. And we'll see you on the next one. And whoever is in charge next time around, come on, you boys in green.